My microphone has been giving me grief lately. Thank you, Toxic Dave. I appreciate it. That's like the 4th, 5th consecutive stream that I've done that. Oh my god, let me start over. Welcome. Welcome, Club Cult. Happy Thursday. It's lovely to see you all. I've missed you all. I predicted being delinquent tonight, and I was wrong. Say it's words. Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata. We need like a full reset. Not plugged in, am I? No. Full reset. Whoa! Hold. Wait. This is an interesting reset. Thank you so much, Smoops. The 12 months, 1 year? You have given me 1 year of your life. You are incredible. Thank you so much that you're supporting the Stream the Dreams project. The reset didn't work. The Matrix is just broken tonight, and that's okay. Should I tilt my camera to, like, reflect? Thank you. You are wonderful. Boys, you're gonna get some treats. Thank you for kicking off the holidays, Smoops. I'm just gonna go in backwards order of everything that I muted myself out on. We have started the holidays. All subs, bits, kicks, every single thing else. Hello, Voya. Will be donated to Chicago Animal Care and Control and Pause Chicago for this month. Pause Chicago does take monetary donations, so we'll split in half. And CACC does not, but they have a wish list on Amazon. So I'll let you guys go shopping around New Year's, and we'll pick out what they want. Usually they post on Instagram what they have the most need for, so we'll start with that as like a basic list. And then from there you guys can shop around, be little Amazon girlies with me. Hail to the year! And I want to thank you all for being a part of No Nuts November. That was an incredible success. That was a wonderful thing to do, and I cannot wait to do that for my birthday every single year. That was fun. It was cute. It was cheeky. Hello, Voya. He's being cute and cheeky too. And I'm very grateful for you all. Thank you! Let me up our count and give the boys some treats, and then we'll be on the go to the bibbies, the little literal shittens. I've been baby voicing all day and just talking to myself, and apparently my brain is out of words, so tonight is going to be very, very interesting. I didn't realize my brain was this broked. My body is ready. I mean, that sounds dirty, but like I have physical energy. But wow. We're gonna have fun with that. We're gonna have fun with that. Smoops, I gotta make you a star. We gotta figure out how to do this hat, too. I don't know how that's gonna happen. And you get your name up on the board. Welcome, Cygenics. He is ready. We're gonna double fist this situation. Apparently, giggity words are the only words that can come out of my mouth right now. We're gonna write up on the board and get the boys some snacks. Does anyone have any recommendations for snack flavors? I think there's over 12 bags that are available or open right now. So I'm sure something is there. Let's see if Gunther wants snacks. Gunther's ears are really bothering him today. I slept in with them for a little bit earlier. We took a nap. I was grumpy and tired. And Gunther did not let me make the bed. It's been windy. Oh, that sucks. Threw your trash cans around? That happened to me for the first time the other day. Like last week or the week before. I had just gotten off of stream. Like I just logged off. And I heard a big kerthunk in front and the cans were still out. And I was like, holy shit. Usually I'm responsible about bringing them in before degen hours so I don't wake up the neighbors. But I was naughty and I did not do it that day. And then they, boom, both of them fell into each other. I really thought something bad was happening outside. I hope the week's been kind to everyone. It is a flustered day. Does anyone else feel flustered today? It's a full moon, isn't it? Maybe that's what it is. I think today is the full moon. Oh, we can totally blame it on the moon. Okay, it's not my fault. It's not your fault. It's nobody's fault. It's the moon. It's the moon. I've been well, Toxic Dave. How have you been? How have you been? You know how I feel about time. It's been a while. You've been missed, but whether it's 2 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 hours, around Zegan for 2 years. When our times collide, it is beautiful, magical, amazing, and wonderful. The stinkiest snack and is there fish, so the two are mutually exclusive. Somewhere probably yes. Probably yes. Santa BB writing smooths up on the board. Boop boop. And Zeke is happy for that too. Meow meow. Meow 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 meow. I didn't bring out any Christmas decorations yet because my life is insane right now. But should we play some Christmas music? Are we in the mood for that? They were playing at my vet's office today, and it was nice to listen to. Figured it'd give us the option. A metal dog that you put on... A metal dog, what? Like to keep the tops closed? I read that wrong first. I skipped dog and for some reason read crate. And I was thinking that you had your trash cans in like a chastity cage or something. Oh god, metal hitting the ground. It's so loud. That's scary. You probably thought someone was breaking in. I thought someone was like crashing into my yard when my cans fell. That's scary. I'm so sorry. Head pats. Head pats. Oh my goodness. No, I think I can picture what you mean. Like it's holding it together with integrity. It's just not surviving the wind. Not much does when it blows hard enough. It wasn't a flustered day for you, but your friend with their boat trailer that you helped fix. Oh, boat trailers are a pain in the butt. I feel like boat trailers are the most troublesome of all trailers. It's a big piece of iron shaped like a wiener dog. Oh, is it like a big door stopper thing? Kind of whatchamawatcher? Like a big giant paperweight. Yeah. Let's find some stinky snacks. What are the stinkiest of the stinkies? Let's see. Tuna and cranberry. Oh, why didn't we have those on Christmas? Holy fish! Is there another one of these open? I thought there was. Maybe you ate them all? Okay, I hear you. You are acknowledged. I hear you. I hear you. Thought it could have been for a fireplace. Oh, maybe. I think I can visualize what you're talking about. But yeah, I want to see your wiener. Shaped like a wiener dog, right? I'm not out of pocket here. Okay, yes. Holy fish. Holy fish. I don't know if Gunther can eat these. They're a little solid, but he might not be interested in them. He's in his feels today. Big time. Big time. And that's okay. Here you go, bub. You can try this one. These are stinky. They're pungent. I think they have like a fish and green tea smell. But they don't have green tea in them. I don't know why they smell like green tea. Zeke, you don't like these? Voya likes them. You're a shelter cat. Don't be picky. You can eat the snack. You can do it. You can. Oh, look at you. You're so brave. He's so brave. Aww. I don't think we can even see him. There's too much over there. My life is a mess right now. That's okay. For Harley, we can be a mess. Gunther, do you want some? See, it's the same thing, you derp. Look, that one's yours. Voya, you're so patient. You're so patient. Do one more for Gunther. Okay, he can chew them. Good boy. Okay, Voya, you got treat of love. You got like 8 of them, and they got like 4 and 3 of them. Good boy. The treat of love. Clean my fingers. Thank you. Good boy. Good boy. Oh, so Zeke will eat Voya's treats, but not his treats. Okay. Okay. Zeke's actually picky about treats. There's like 3 of them up there that he doesn't like. It's surprising. It always surprises me when a cat is picky, though. My cats, I'm just so used to them all eating like dogs. Should I make a template first? Maybe. Because then I can fuck it up a few times. Stars are like easy but difficult. The only acceptable dick pic is of wiener dogs? Yes, unless you're paying for it. No, it's okay, because wiener dogs can be dicks sometimes. It's fair. It's fair. Oh, my vet's office has new, scent things. Like, they have sprays and candles and, like, even, like, the car hanging thing, but it goes in your house. And there was one that was called, they're, like, cute little names, like Maple Kissed or Holiday Cheer. And then there's one that was called Corgi Butt. And it was, in parentheses, pet odor eliminator. Corgi butt. Do corgis have particularly stinky asses? I didn't have a lot of corgi clients when I was a dog groomer. So I'm like really trying to like rack my brain and remember here. I haven't known a lot of corgis in my life. The easy paper is where? What is this? Is this junk paper? Yes, I can just cut this up. That's not important notes anymore. Corgis have cute butts. They do. There's so many cute little giffies of their butts. Where's the last surviving pen? There it is. I used to think of the queen. Oh, that's right. The royals do have corgis. Oh my goodness. Don't need my awkward little light on. Let's hop in the Discord really quick, and then we'll figure out how to draw some stars and go see the peanut butters. We're just gonna stick them on the pole for now until I figure out the tree situation. It's too many eyes on everything right now. I only have 2 eyes, and it's too many and not enough. Not enough. Not enough. What? Are you telling me, Discord? You're full of nonsense. Nonsense, slander, and blasphemy. This little piece of hair is gonna drive me nuts all night. I don't know where it's supposed to go. It, like, lost the curl. It's the scent of power. I don't know what you are. Go away. Go away. Welcomes! Welcome, Jazzed. You guys hop into the Discord, please do not forget to... That's the wrong... No, it's not. Please do not forget to green check them their rules so that I can grill you in offline. Meow meow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Where's this wiener? I would consider that a door stopper. That's about what I was imagining. Usually they're antiques. I wonder if yours is an antique or a replica. Is it from mom or dad or grandma or grandpa? That's what I was imagining. It's cool. That's a good idea. I would have never thought about that. I wonder what its purpose would be in the fireplace, though. I bet if you posted it to, like, Century Homes, someone would know. That's where I feel like I've seen this before. It's an antique. Damn! Keep it forever. Never get rid of it. This type of thing can last for years outside. That's amazing. C'est incroyable. That is incredible. Ziki is doing something. I think. Ow. I don't know. No, Gunther is doing things. How you doing, Mr. Gunther? How you doing? We're having a time of it here. Usually don't comment on such things, but I'm impressed at the length of that wiener. I mean, especially if it fits over trash cans and, like, in a fireplace. Like, fireplaces, what, at least a meter stick wide? I would think mine is. Something like that. It's kind of crazy to think that the thing has been outside your entire life, just dealing with all that rain and water. It'll last through a nuclear explosion, I bet. It'll be there longer than we are. It'll be there forever. Forever in a day. That really is incredible, though. It's amazing. Amazing. Camera, snap back to where you go. Thank you. I think that's right. Can actually get to hold on to trash cans if they're next to each other. It has to be quite big then, like at least fireplace sized. Is it like about the size of a yardstick? It's the type of thing they found buried in Pompeii. I don't think you're wrong about that. Pen, don't fail me. I shouldn't have started in the middle of the page, but that's okay. Look, that's a beautiful stencil right there. You gotta bring that thing to Antiques Roadshow, Smoops. That's really cool, though. That's such an amazing thing to have. Like, family history-wise and just purpose-wise. That's marvelous. My stars always have long legs. They take after their creator. Is that ugly? Does that need to be redone? Oh my god. You've been to an Antiques Roadshow set before? Okay, so low-key Serena fact. Don't know if I've shared this before because this is one of my rather most uncool traits. I feel like I love Antiques Roadshow. I used to watch it a lot with my dad growing up and like fall asleep to it. Like I wouldn't even remember being carried into bed. I just fall asleep on the couch at like age 3 watching Antiques Roadshow. I like it. There's a channel just for it on Roku. It's so nice. I like it. It's beautiful. Was it the first edition copy of The Hobbit? That's amazing. You got roasted for not having a dust cover. Oh, they can go fuck themselves. They're just jealous they don't have it. They're just jealous. There's an old lobster plate at your grandma's that ended up being worth a decent amount. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm being stupid. But a plate was like a painting of a lobster on it, or like a plate for lobster. I don't know many things about lobster. I'm guessing designed, but I feel like I could be wrong. Good enough for government work indeed. I say that so many times a day. Start being a little scuffed is kind of on brand. I think so. It has character. It has character. It has character. It is very relaxing. I like it. It's calm. It's chill. It's nice. It's good stuff. It's a very good one. I am jelly that you got to be on set for it. Although I only have like maybe 2-3 things at most that I would possibly bring to it. I don't have a purpose of going. I just want to go. Can I tag along? Oh, this desk is bumpy. I can't write on it. Antiques Roadshow is interesting and charming that you have a nice memory watching. Oh, I think so. It's good memories. The only last pen just died. I have Serena pens in here. I forgot about that. Like, use your own merch, dummy. Where is my merch? I always forget there's so many pens in here. Anytime I bitch about pens, someone yell at me, Serena, your merch stock is in this room. Get your fucking pens. Someone yell at me, please. There's just something about this room. There you go. She is alive. She's alive. I think people a lot of go with the stuff they know isn't worth anything just to go. I would kind of agree with that, and also in the sense of like when you go, you kind of get a chance to tell your family history, which is cool. because there's a story behind like everything that comes in, especially everything that gets featured on TV. So it's kind of like a secondary, like preserving a legacy. Like you're feeding your ego, but you're also preserving legacy with it. I mostly like the story time parts, but occasionally I am bemused by something being worth a bajillion times more than what they thought, or vice versa. Yeah, exactly. They let some of those on the show because like they have ups and downs too, so you get a chance to like tell your story. It's nice. My dad's actually smart for that. That was like story time before bed. He said, you can't memorize this like Noah's Ark. You can't do that. It still cracks me up. Anti-pen device has been turned off. Finally. That's all we needed. Just one little win. I'll take it. Take it and put it in my pocket. Pawn Stars is nice, but it's a little too dramatic for me. Like, they have their own, like, in-drama. And it's not much, like, compared to other reality shows, but I don't like that vibe. It's not relaxing for me. Like, it doesn't stress me out, but it doesn't relax me. I don't know how to describe that. They do. They play everything up to the 10th degree. Let's grab Sharpie so it's more bold. That will look nice. Let's do pink, because that'll look red, but it's secretly pink, and that'll be fun. Storage Wars looks so tempting, but I have not jumped into it yet. What do you like most about it? And then Serena hides tape everywhere. Where did I hide tape now? There's a box of it over there, but there might be a roll of it over here. If there is, I don't know. Aha! 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 Ha! 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 We're just one at life. The moon is moving. The universe is turning around. Boop! Thank you, thank you! Boop! Oh, that's like perfect height. Perfect! You're at the top of the line, Smoops. I'll have a B plot in the episode about Rick being mad Chumley paying too much for something. Yeah! It's just like, shut up. I think I'm just too easily annoyed at everything. Storage Wars is exciting because you really have no idea what you will see. That's true. Like, the point of it is they're just bidding on something that they know an approximate value of, but they don't know what's inside of it. Right? I think? Suppose what you like about Storage Wars comes from personal experience with storage units. I have very little experience with storage units. So they get abandoned often. Occasionally it comes up on my Reddit timeline. Like things that people have won. It's not gonna fit in the picture. I don't know how to put this on. We'll try it. And they found things from like movie sets, which is pretty cool. Let's see. This is an attempt, not a guarantee. And then babies. Babies. Poopy babies. Poopy babies. I still have no idea what's going wrong with them. The slightly more in-depth GI panel showed nothing. So now we're doing the most in-depth GI panel, which will take a week at most to come back. And we'll see what that shows. But right now, everyone's doing good. Otherwise, they're eating, they're drinking, they're playing, they're peeing, they're certainly pooping. No one's throwing up. And they gained a little bit of weight back today, which was good. Where's the piece? I just have to keep an eye on them being hydrated. Oh, I know I posted in the announcements like a big boo-hoo, like I didn't think I would exist tonight. But I think here's the approximate plan. If they keep doing what they're doing, I'll probably stream the babies, but not me, Saturday. And possibly take Sunday and Monday, or depending on how they're feeling, stream them Sunday and Monday. Because me not watching everything insanely at the moment is okay. My vet is open tomorrow. It's okay tomorrow night. My vet is open Saturday. But then not Sunday or Monday. So I'll need to watch them extra then to make sure that we don't get to the point of like needing to go to emergency. I think I played it over in my head properly. So this month is going to start off a little weird. It's going to seem a little weird. It's going to look a little strange. It's from a Barney song, I think. I don't know where that crawled into my head. But that's my approximate plan for now. Otherwise, I'm going to be worrying insanely. And I'll have zero focus, I'll be grumpy, and it just will be ridiculous. I'll just put up a fishbowl camera and sometimes turn around to talk to everyone. I don't know. It's like buying the Amazon pallet. What are Amazon pallets? Like returns? That they just don't want to restock? Do they get auctioned off? Ah, the jacket is similar to hers. It's from a lingerie site, but like it's clinical as fork. Like this is not like, oh baby sexy time. Like this is like an I'm taking a shower robe. It's bothered me for years. I almost never wear it. I was like, okay, this is Twitch safe. This is fine. This will work. It's on theme. We'll have a Christmas Harley around Christmas. But for now, Nurse Harley. Oh, I forgot my stethoscope. It does have a cute little apron, but I don't think that really goes with anything right now. It kind of just hides the point of being Harley. I mean, like, just the apron and hat would be cute, like, minus the jacket, but this is not lingerie. It looks clinical. And it has built-in cat toys, though, so it'll be fun. It was an astute observation, though. I like that. This was the inspo behind tonight. Let me see if I can find her. Dun, dun, dun. Watch, I won't be able to find it. No, I'll have to pull it up on my phone. There she is. That was our inspo for tonight. I don't know if that'll show the... Oh, but I have like the leggings so on point. No. Wait, I'm not good at orientation. This is why I couldn't be a cheerleader. I don't have the grumpiest face though, which is good. Although she doesn't look grumpy, she looks determined. You return your items, then you go back to the warehouse, they just sell off the pallets. What? I swear that I've received returned items before. Like the dress I wore for my birthday was packed really goofy. And it was super wrinkly. I'm pretty sure someone wore that once and returned it. Maybe most things go back to the pallets. And, well, if it's a secondary seller, maybe not. But if it's through Amazon, probably it does. That would make sense. Considering most people return stuff that doesn't work or is broken. It's mostly garbage, which is the gamble. Oh. But then there's people like me that buy things and return things. So I guess other people get lucky because I'm an idiot consumer. Isn't that fun? Lord. They had to take the Red Cross off the more recent album printings of the Blink 182 album. There's a whole thing about the Red Cross banning people from using the symbol. What? The Red Cross is so big and not for profit, I think? Wouldn't they want more exposure than, like, being upset about it? I don't know. Copyright is a weird fine line like that, where on one side it can be exposure and on the other side it's a brand feeling fucked over. And sometimes the two are mutually exclusive, which is awkward. That happened with Halo years ago. Damn. Really don't get it in video games. No one's going to be misidentified as a combat medic in Halo. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Something about not being able to impersonate a combat medic. Wow. But they're completely different. But whatever, world. Have your cake and eat it too if you want to. You just want the Red Cross to mean only their brand, not mixed with anything else. That's a fair point. I'll give them that. They can have one for that one. I concede they win that round. What am I forgetting? What am I missing? Hat, star, board. The board is like smart and it turns off at a certain amount of time. I want to find a better spot for it. We're just all in the darkness in here. I don't think I'm hurting anything. Okay, B-Buzz. B-Buzz! B-Buzz! Las Vegas! I've been singing that to them and I don't know why or where that came from. Like Viva Las Vegas, but B-Buzz. Las Vegas. I am gonna struggle with these socks all night. They're super fun. They don't stay. We're gonna have a time of it. Light, I'm gonna ask you to be nice to me today because I'm a fragile little bean. Pretty please. And thank you. You're gonna keep yourself straight there, little soldier. You can do it. I have faith in you. Boy, you're very cute. Love you. Love you. Viva Las Vegas is an Elvis Presley movie. Ooh. Is it newer? Like it's about him or he stars in it? I just think I've heard it in a commercial at some point. Viva, Viva Las Vegas. And somewhere it's brainwormed itself into my head. Somewhere. He's in it. Okay, then it wouldn't be newer. He'd been gone for a while. He's doing his own thing in the stars in the sky. Awkward. What do we need and where, boy? Open. It's in pop culture, so you might have heard it on a commercial, probably. That's what I'm thinking. Exposed to, I watch TV, or TV is on while I sleep. I'm sure many commercials creep into my head without me knowing it. Omelette du fromage kind of tactics. Can't think of any off the top of your head, but I feel like it's been in cartoons. Oh, probably. I've watched a fair amount of cartoons. I feel like I watched more cartoons as an adult than I did as a kid. But I'm like catching up on cartoons that I missed as a kid. It's a balance. Hadn't eaten as many peanut butter mayonnaise sandwiches yet. Peanut butter mayonnaise? Is that really a thing? I'm trying not to judge. I'm just noticing, asking, observing. What's happening there? Oh, this is even worse on Tiny Camp. What is this little bitty... Here, we have pins. Let's fix this right now. I would not try that. I don't like mayonnaise, though. Get your on straight. Derp. Yeah, you're on the Wi-Fi. Be happy. You're on the Wi-Fi. Be happy. There we go. Boop, boop, boop. Was it one of his favorite foods? What happens is good. I'll die fat like Elvis. Oh, that's just because he did a lot of drugs. Got complications because of doing a lot of drugs. Do you watch Looney Tunes back in action? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Let me get a visual. Looney Tunes back in action. That does not look familiar. Is it done like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, kind of? It looks like people and cartoons. Who's in that movie, apparently? I haven't seen it to my knowledge, but it's possible that it existed in some kind of passing in my life. I wonder. Oh, well, I could have absorbed it from either. Twin Peaks, The Big Lebowski, possibly Looney Tunes back in action, somewhere in a brainworm somewhere. I wonder. It's just everywhere. It's a culmination of a stacking in my brain. So when I get old and senile, all I will have left to say to anyone is Viva, Viva Las Vegas. Can you imagine being that lady in the nursing home? Oh, God. It's going to be an interesting time. It's going to be an interesting time in life. Okay. I'm here for it. I suppose. I guess. Oh, why did you log me out? I feel like having the power to know when you first learned or heard something would be so cool. Yes! Like if you could Jimmy Neutron in your brain and like go through the neurons and trace it right to the source. That would be so good. I think I've told you guys this. I've seen more Jimmy Neutron in French than English. My first year of French class, we had a German teacher because my school didn't have enough language teachers, so the teacher that predominantly taught German also knew French, but not as fluently as German. So anyone who was in his class, basically the second year, like we had to smush the first and second year together, and it was quite rigorous. I was very confused by my third year. That's why I think I could only get by basically conversationally. Just enough. But his basic lesson plan was Jimmy Neutron in French with English subtitles. We did that at least 2 or 3 times a week. Like, make it make sense. It was an interesting one. It was a very interesting one. Welcome, Box. Hope you're having a good night tonight. Happy Thursday. You're just in time to go see the babies. It was a really awesome, easy class for first year. And then it was really rigorous the second year. And the 2 other French teachers were pretty pissed off that they had to reteach, like, everything to, I think, 2 French classes. Which was ridiculous. A lot of people, the French classes shrunk by the second year, too. Probably about 10 people dropped out of it and went to either art classes or Spanish instead because of that experience. Interesting. You were thinking about me. Good thoughts only, I hope. Or maybe not. That's okay. Just watch Jimmy Neutron reading the subtitles. Yeah. So any like knowledge I have of Jimmy Neutron is like ingrained into my brain with like Franglish. French and English. One of Elvis's favorite sandwiches is the Fool's Gold Loaf. Massive sandwich made from a whole loaf of white bread, filled with a pound each of peanut butter, bacon, and jelly. That would probably be good. Like, kind of like a candied bacon situation kind of going on. That's a lot of carbs, though. I mean, like, go protein and a little bit of fruit. That's a lot of carbs. But that was also a different time to be alive. I don't know if we had the food pyramid yet then. When did the food pyramid come around? That sounds interesting. A fool's gold loaf. But none of it is gold. Peanut butter is brown, bacon is brown, and I unless you use apricot jelly or like peach jelly, it's not gold. I guess bread is kind of gold and it's tan. It's knockoff gold. And a physics teacher was retiring and she showed boobies once a week. Oh, that's awesome. Every week the whole year. She was already mentally checked out. Like how we would be like a month before any break would start. Mentally checked out. Aw, Box, you so sweet. I hope the week has been kind to you. Watch movies in 2 parts because classes were an hour. Oh, you guys got like full-on movies. You're watching like Transformers and shit. Maybe. Oh, I didn't understand that as like a whole loaf of bread being that much. That's insane. I don't think I could eat that in a week. That's scary. I certainly wouldn't poop eating that in a week. Poor guy. Oh my god. Can't be fucking around with drugs and fool's gold. Jeez. Classic pyramid scheme. I feel like just eating a pound of bacon would kill you. Yeah. I would not recommend that challenge. I don't know what happens. But I wouldn't recommend it. First Watch has some sweet ass bacon. Is that a brand? I don't eat meat. I don't know these things. Voya's crawling around behind the desk right now. That's a very interesting choice. I'd like you to get out from behind there so we can go by the babies. Maybe, please. Maybe. Peanut butter, bacon burger, and bananas. Well, I mean, like a peanut butter burger is a thing. Peanut butter and jelly burger. That kind of surprised me a little bit in its existence, but I've seen it and like smelled it. I've never tried it. But it smells good. I've been told it's good. I don't know. Peanut butter on the burger is actually good. I feel like it would be satisfyingly melty. But I don't think, for whatever reason, even though Impossible tastes so similar, like at least what I remember is similar, I don't think it would be good veggie style. I don't think it would be good with an Impossible burger. And I don't know why. I think just the textures wouldn't mash up. And, like, meat is naturally kind of, like, greasy. Like, there's a fat component to it, even if it's not cooked, like, super restaurant-y, like, oily. I think that probably helps it. It was fine. Only fine? Sticky, but fine. I feel like it'd be very messy. Like, drippy. Like, you'd have to eat it over your plate kind of situation. Hot peanut butter makes it like a sauce. Oh, yeah, peanut butter does get melty. Your weird food tricks you used to use was peanut butter ramen. I did something similar, though. I used to do peanut butter, soy sauce, and honey in my ramen. I don't know if that was actually good or not. I think back and it has like a nostalgic but strange taste, but I'm also afraid to try it again. I don't know if that was good or not, but it was interesting. Some foods, like some flavors and foods, I think only fit a certain timeline of your life. And it's just not good outside of that timeline. I don't know if you guys can relate to that. And I feel like that's one of those things. I bet that was good, though. I feel like the honey is what made it weird. Meat and peanut butter is common in Thai food. Ooh. I would know that if I ate meat. Maybe. You never know. Well, peanuts in general are common in Thai food. Because they'll put it in, like, whatever the sweet and sour sauce is. Unless I ask for not with. Because I don't like it with. I don't like peanuts. I like peanut butter. But for some reason... I like other nuts. But for some reason, peanuts just give me the ick. I don't know why, but I like peanut butter. Too many peanuts at the ballpark, maybe. I don't know. You cook the ramen and then reduce the peanut butter to a sauce on it. That's almost like a sesame sauce, but sweeter, though. That's similar. I would just do it in with the broth because I was chaotic. Gotta be careful with the soy sauce. It's a powerful flavor. It's intense. It's very intense. When you were younger, you enjoyed to eat more sweets. Now you'd rather not. I can kind of relate to that. You don't crave them as much anymore. I think that's more like regulating your diet as you're an adult, though. I haven't had peanuts in a while. You'll be nostalgic for them going to the hardware store and get... You used to get free peanuts? I never got free peanuts. I'm jealous. Smoops, you lucky bastard. That's cool. What hardware store, unless it's like a tiny local chain, you don't want to share it. What hardware store gives out free peanuts? That's a thing? The hardware store in your town and free peanuts at the check. That's so cool. That's so sweet of them. Honestly, that's so nice. Aw. Just 2 bowls, one with peanuts, one to put the holes in. I mean, they're probably cheaper than heck. They probably didn't lose out on it and probably did hold on to customers because of it. That's a nice thing. That's cool. Whoever owned it like eating peanuts. That's a fair reason to do it. So the old bars you went to are peanuts. They're encouraged to drop a husk on the ground. I've seen that in movies and I've never actually seen that in reality. I find that very interesting. I wouldn't want to be the one cleaning it up, though. I've always wondered if that was actually a thing. I have wondered indeed. The only, like, big bar I've ever been to is Reggie's Rock Club in Chicago. And I don't remember if they had anything like that at the bar setup. Otherwise, it's just tiny little hole-in-the-wall places that'll let you get in without your ID, because you have a 21 plus ID then. Most of my bar days were pre-21, which I find interesting. Mostly pre-18, which, like... Does that happen anymore? Thinking back, like, yeah, you got away with it, but, like, what? It's an interesting one. It's an old bar thing. They made the floors kind of slip hazards. I would imagine. Like, dry, they would be a hazard, and wet, they would be gross and a hazard. Ugh. Been to a bar with a sawdust floor before. Why was their floor sawdust? Oh, to make it safe. Like a peanut litter box? Was that why it was sawdust? That's wild. Once you're allowed to go, they don't seem as much fun to you either, honestly. Well, once I was allowed to go, I started to have a zoo. And I was working all the time. And I started camming. And I was taking care of my niece and nephew. At that point, I really didn't like... I hadn't stopped drinking, but I really didn't like drinking anymore. So it just kind of went out the window. I got all of, like, my crazy, like, 20 to 30s timeline out, like, pre-age 18. I got it all out in, like, a 2-year shebang. Did everything I wanted to do. Was over it. Was an old lady by the time I was 20. Welcome, Cruzel. Welcome to our Harley cosplay night. I hope the week has been kind to you so far. Welcome. Is in Alaska, I think it has to do with the snow. Oh, yeah. For everyone's boots. Because it's wet out. Sawdust bar floors are easy to clean in a relative sense. Well, it would be like a zen raking situation. Probably at the end of the night. That I don't think I'd mind. It's an Old West thing. You just dust out the blood and beer that spills. That's smart, honestly. I don't know if that's health code approved. But it's smart. I can see the validity of that. You flip us over and I'm gonna bop in with the peanuts. I have so much clothes all over the piano right now. Gunther's gonna be in charge. Gunther's gonna be in charge. I'm gonna mute us really quick. And try to unmute us when we get back. Odd. This is a mind boggler. There we go. Beautiful. Gunther's so snuggly. He says you do not make this bed tonight, Mom. No. Yet. Nine. Smart to cover up dirt floors. That makes sense too. No, I don't think we'll see that at the Cosmopolitan Bar when we go to Viva Las Vegas. Pop cult. I don't even know if there's a Cosmopolitan bar. I just like the Cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan. When I'm in Vegas. It's nice. It's not insanely expensive, but it's, well, depending on the room you get, but it's nice. I like it. I like it. He is a cozy little boy. We're gonna smooch on him really quick. And then going with the B-Boss. I gotta give Strikes meds at midnight, so we'll probably spend like an hour with them. Vegas makes me a little bit sad. My mom and dad went on not their honeymoon, but a vacation there shortly after they were married, but before I was born. I need to take meds. We got pit stop with Mama Cat. And they have so many pictures of the places they stayed. Like they hotel hopped through the whole thing. And the only hotel that's still, the only hotels that are still up from when they went there are Caesar's Palace, and I think the Flamingo. The Flamingo might be closed now. It might have closed shortly after the pandemic. I don't know. But I was so excited to see where they stayed when I was there because I knew we'd be driving around like looking for dresses and things, just a little bit, and everything was different, which is okay. But I was a little excited to like see the same that they did, and no, no, no. Last time you went to Vegas, you actually stayed in Boulder City. It was decently cheaper. A lot of people stay in Hendersonville because it's close but cheaper too. My cheek is swollen on this side. What did I do? I know I have a scar there, but my face is swollen. It's weird. Poke, poke, poke. I have an ear. No, I have an ear infection on the other side. That's weird. Okay, so I know half my face is fat, just in case anyone was going to mention it. Vegas is very different. I doubt I would recognize much from the last time I was there. I like the SLS. That one's cheap as fuck. And it has instead of like a wallpaper, it has curtain designs. Probably so people can like fuck and they can clean them easier, but I'm not gonna think about that part. It's pretty. If you don't think about that part. It's like all Parisian. I do like the SLS. That was nice. But don't lose your valet ticket. They'll get mad at you. They'll get mad at you. It was decently cheaper, but getting to the strip was expensive, so it probably evened out. I don't like the highways in Vegas. I don't like it. I never stayed on the strip though. The strip is all the schmancy stuff. So MFC will pay for your, I don't know what it is now, but it used to be the Virgin Hotel. So they would pay for your room there if you got the room block. So when I went to Vegas last, I just paid for the room block and then did hotels like around in the area. And I think that was right on the edge of like Vegas and Hendersonville. Hendersonville, I think, is where all the strip clubs are. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. I feel like in that era it would have been more charming. I love the pictures that they have. And some of the pictures that I have from like the touristy stuff is similar like vibe to theirs. But it's not the same. It just seems like it was so much more fun when they went. Like much just a nice, not like a forced money spending trip, just a nice vacation time. The Flamingo is open and apparently owned by Caesars. Oh, dang! Next time I go to Vegas, if I ever go to Vegas again, because we have a big zoo, I want to go to the Flamingo and I want to go to Caesar's Palace. Vegas is one of the places you would visit if you had a time machine. What time would you go back to Vegas for? What would you want to see? 60s Vegas, like Ocean 11. I haven't seen any of the Ocean's movies. Shame on me. Shame on me. Shame on me. To go to the past or future for New Vegas. Why not both? Indeed, why not both? Mr. Gunther, how are you doing, son? Will that stand up there? Probably not. It'll stand up there, though. Hello, Mr. Gunther. Hello, darling. At least you know you're getting. Have to survive one to go to the other. You guys are not wrong. Aw, Zeke Scritchins. Zeke Scritchins, boy is eating. You boys are being so good. Gunther, how you feeling? He was staying so tense earlier. He wanted to keep his tail wrapped around him, which he still does, but he's not, like, holding it as tight anymore. You're okay. I know, your ears are bugging you. I'm sorry, little buddy. I'm sorry, Mr. Gunther. Zeke has my string. He took over. Let me make sure we're all do a little checkup. Oops, sorry. I'm an intern. Sounds like you're full of love. Ha, ha, ha. Not the biggest Sinatra fan. You found the original Oceans kind of boring. Wait, are they remakes now? Like, is there original ones like that are older movies? He is a handsome little lump. And he's super cozy too. Gunther has wonky ear issues, and they're bothering him today, so he's hanging out in his little bed cave. Call the kitty doctor. Alright, now we're going to go diagnose some kitten food, or prescribe some kitten food. See, I don't know my words. I'm still an intern. Hi, Voya. Voya has joined us in chat. Voyovnik. Your name is Gunther. Does it smell good? It smells like babies, probably. There you go. Boy, you're like little meerkat manner. You're so cute. You're so cute. And Mr. Zeke Zekerton. Mr. Golden Eyes. Mr. Golden Eyes. Okay, babies. Babies. Babies, babies, babies. It's the original Ocean's 11 versus the more modern one with George Clooney and sequels. So there is two Oceans. There's an original and a new Ocean's 11. I know nothing, Jon Snows. I know nothing. I know nothing. I love you, boys. Door should be fine. This hallway is a nightmare. I'm holding you all close because there's a lot going on out here. Trying to keep the carriers the babies have been in separate. I have to do 2 trips. They're very brave at the door right now. Oh, that's how I close that. Okay. Hello. Hello. Hello, Stinky Bows. Nibbler is very excited to see you guys. Nibbler has the biggest purr in the world. I still have to grab chat. We're going to say hi to the Stinkies really quick. Stinkies. Stinkies. Oh, we found the toy already. We found the toy already. Stripes. Yeah, come down and say hey. Hey, girlfriend, hey. Hey, girlfriend, hey. Why are you not paying attention to anything? Stripes. Hi. Are you just sleepy or are you really not feeling good right now, girlfriend? I can't like hook you guys up to an MRI to like look at my brain right now, but this level of paranoia I have over Miss Stripes is why you guys will probably not see me while the vet is closed, so I can stare at her and make sure she is fine. I don't know if she's being sleepy or not feeling good right now, but it makes me want to have a panic attack. Not want to, but be about to have. I'm trapped by babies. They got me by the strings. Oh my goodnessy. Oh my goodnessy. Okay, I got Club Gold. And we just gotta get you your foods. Get you your foods. Yes, ma'am, indeed. Yes, ma'am, indeed. There's 2 series. Okay, that clears it up. Thank you. But the new one is kind of old now. That's okay. You can say the same thing about me. It goes both ways. You pop us up here. Let there be light. Illuminate the world upon us all. I'm covered in babies. Hi, Stripes. How are we feeling? 2 Ocean's 11 movies. All the other Ocean numbers are recent. They did find it right away. They're smart. Easy and Nibbler got me. Nibbler has the biggest purr. Okay, Stripes is up and scritching. Stripes, strings, strings, strings. Oh, Nibbler's ready for munchies. What do you think? What do you think? Daisy's on camera control right now. My socks are not gonna stay up. Do, 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 do. You check your hydration. You're a little dehydrated, girlfriend. You're bouncing back, but not as fast as I want. Daisy, you're good. Nibs, you're good. It's a quick and easy way to check hydration, and I know cats and dogs. I don't know about other animals. What is going on with my face right now? Like, what is that swelling? That's so weird. I don't know what's happening there. You pinch their scruff and see how fast it bounces back. If it still holds form, like stays pinched out for a sec, then they're a little dehydro. If it snaps back normal, then they're good. I'm being mauled by a small one right now named Nibbler. Nibbler! Nibbler! Those are interesting socks, huh? A boop! A boop! A boop! Stripes is like, I'm drinking, I'm not dehydrated. Oh, you're crawling up my leg. You have really long nails. They needed their nails done like right before they started pooping their pants, and now I don't want to fuck with them and do their nails and stress them out. But their nails are so damn long right now. Oh my god. Wonder if that works with people? No. No, it does not. Well, maybe in like your skin this way, but I've never tried it or learned. Oops. Here, let's put this out when we grab your food. They are kittens. There's 3 of them, and they're about to be 13 weeks old this Saturday. You're my little foster babies. You're taking me down to Chinatown here, kid. My very amused foster babies. The babies. Just 3? Yeah, they were a small litter. When they went for their checkup at my vet the other day, one of the techs asked if Daisy was from the same litter because she's so big, not because she looks different, but because she's so big. Because the twins are twins. And then there's giant Daisy. She's so much more, like, developed. Like, big. She's my big girl. She's my big girl. Alright, let's get your crunchy munchies. Let's get your crunchy munchies. Play the wet food swaps game. It's a fun game. 11 out of 10 recommend. Hold on, Stinky. You're all good, Mamas. Hello, Stinky Stinky. You love you, baby. I love you, baby. And set their food in here. Tiny demon girl chasing Serena out. I forgot to pick up my strings before going on the movings. Ow! You're pinching me. You're pinching me. You're pinching me. I just want to set down your food. You're probably gonna go up and steal the fork. But I know, Squeaky. I gotta go tinky really quick, and then we'll get your yums. Then we'll get your yums. Yes, yes, yes. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, 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 oh. Hold on one sec, baby boo. Great tiny mighty. Mighty. Hi. You're my little escape artist, Nibbler. Come here. She so confidently is just like ready to go right out that door. I was gonna do my glasses tonight and I forgot. Is that like a more clinical look? Does that look more official? Is that professional? Probably not if I'm doing this weird hand thing that I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I do that. Come here, you are purring so big. Oh, give me some more purrs. She said, whoa, I'm airborne now. No. Okay. Hi, Daisy. Hi, Stripes. Whoa! That was a big leap. That was a big leap. That was a big leap. Really wish you had become a vet. Me too. Then you could be our vet and do everything and give us the best good discount, right? They are obsessed with these strings. Welcome to Mad Topher. See, this really is a robe. It's not lingerie at all. Like, God. Very learned. I know everything. I'm officially the smartest girl. I do have lipstick on my teeth. I thought I was just seeing a shadow. That was embarrassing. Now I'm very learned. 9 out of 10 doctors do weird hand things. Oh, that's true. You're kind of right about that. They do talk with their hands. More so now that they most do like the AI transcribing than like actually typing everything out. My only doctor that doesn't do that so far is my primary care physician and my GI doctor. And even the emergency vet's office. Not my vet, but my vet still does handwritten records. My vet and I are one and the same. But the emergency vet does the AI transcribe too. And so did U of I when Munster went in. Now we're gonna steal the fork. We're gonna steal the fork. Has advanced. They allowed me in for God knows whatever reason. Just kidding. Here, let's try to accomplish this with the least amount of chaos. I make no guarantees for the sanity level of how this occurs. I'm gonna move this so they don't knock this and then therefore knock it on themselves. I don't care if my stuff breaks. We don't want to go breaking babies. No, we don't. No, we don't. You're a good human, Shadow Tax. And you're a leg climber. Both of you are leg climbers. Stripes, are you ready for food? Those 2 plates or 1? That is 2. Are you ready for hungries? Okay, you girls are going insane over this. I don't know if you're gonna keep going insane over it, but we're gonna try that for a minute. Ow, Daisy, you're clawing into my skin. That's my skin. That's my flesh. That's my existence. My essence. My entity. And rotate. And rotate. And rotate. Da 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 da. Oh my god, I have to do your nails by tomorrow because this is owie. 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 I had to pick up the blankets and stop sleeping on the floor and redo things because I started bruising from sleeping on the floor. Oopsies. Oopsies. Oh, you got a taste of it. Now you're gonna go insane over it. I gotta mix in the probiotics. I gotta mix in the probiotics. I do. I gotta mix them in. I gotta mix them in. It's important. It's important. Nope, that's powder. Let me mix it. Let me mix it. You gotta mix it. You gotta make it to have it. You gotta make it to have it. Okay, you can have that one. I'm really teaching them to be countertop cats, which isn't very smart, but like, what else is my option here? Most vets are becoming privatized clinics, which sucks. They're at the mercy of corporate cost versus the prices they feel comfortable charging, and it's sad. Daisy is a backpack cat. She makes me want to keep her every day, and it's like, bro, you need to get adopted. There you go. Food. Food. Food train. Choo choo. Chugga chugga chugga. No, not out the can. That's not safe. It's dangerous. 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 It's dangerous. Daisy is backpack cat. Backpack, backpack. Backpack, backpack. My vet is thankfully very reasonable, and so is my secondary vet, but my secondary vet is a privatized clinic, but their costs balance out kind of. Like when I took Stripes on Monday, the office visit was more expensive, but all of the testing was cheaper than my vet's office. So it rounded out to about the same as my vet would have been, which I appreciate. I think it's like $220 to do a full blood work panel at my vet, which isn't bad. It's enough, but it's not bad. I'm very grateful. Very, very grateful. The babies, they're smallies. They eating good. And do some litter box monitoring. My vet helps me out a lot. He is tremendous. I don't know what he's actually allowed to do or not to do, so I will only say that there are most times he doesn't charge me sales tax at the very least, and I do get a fair amount of discount for just routine things, which I really appreciate. He is a wonderful human being. He truly cares. If I lost everything today, came in with the entire zoo, and said, Doc, we need help. Everyone's sick. He would just say, okay, we'll set up a payment plan. Which he's a good human. I appreciate. Mama, is this Stripes? Oh, it's Nibbler. Okay, Stripes eating. You're eating good. I feel like a lot of vets get like burnt out extra by everything going privatized too. Like it's just as frustrating on their end. It's very difficult. Like human healthcare is difficult, but it's mostly universally possible. Like you can go to a hospital and be seen no matter what because of the existence of like Medicare, Medicaid. Hello, tiny bean. But that doesn't exist for animals, and it makes pet care for them so difficult. It's very sad that, especially in this economy, a lot of people have to surrender their animals because they can't afford to provide or care for them anymore. I think that's one of the saddest reasons that someone would have to say goodbye to their buddy. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's part of the reason that we supported Paws for a Cause last month, because they do all kinds of awesome low cost vet care. Like down to emergency surgeries, etc. Which is really cool of them. Right now I'm on poop patrol, so as much as I love you guys, I can't pay the most attention to anything other than what the babies are doing. Because we be shitting. And I need to be able to monitor the circumstances. You're okay, honey bun. And clean up as necessary. Excuse me, Days. Excuse me. Good girl, mamas. It's okay, it's okay, as I know tummy upsetty. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It is. Alright, that's no change. No change. You do what you want to cover that up, and I'm gonna tidy. I'm gonna tidy. Clean up, clean up. Everybody everywhere. Clean up, clean up. Everybody do your share. So you can just let me clean up and I'll take care of it. Yeah. That's good, baby. That's good, Biba. That's good, Biba. He's a good. He's a good. See, how do you guys expect me to say real words on stream when I spend all day going, he's a baby, he's a good, like, really, I implore you all to instruct me how to go back to normal words. What is the actual English language? Oh, clean. One more. Oh, Daisy, go Tinky. We got 3 litter boxes now. They got 2 extra new ones yesterday. Yeah, spay and neuter your pets, please. Bob Barker is dead, so I shall announce to you all. Spay and neuter your pets. Spay and neuter your pets. Animal overpopulation is sad. Dr. Jeff is a cool dude. I've never heard of his show. My cats like to watch the Jack Hanna channel. I think that's the only like animal person that we watch on TV. I like that show. I learned so much. I found my favorite animal on there. It's called an okapi, and it's the weirdest, strangest looking thing. It looks like a zebra, horse, giraffe thing, and it's just weird looking, but it's so cool and beautiful. There's not many of them left in the wild. But I discovered them on there. I was absolutely mesmerized. Mesmerized, I tell you, Club Gold. I feel like the babies are 2 seconds away from exploring the top of the dresser there, so it's cleared now, and everything that was on there is in the hallway, and that's a mess. But that's a mess for tomorrow's Serena, because today's Serena doesn't know how to figure it out. And that's okay. That's a-okay. Hello, babies. Daisy, you're just booping around. Boop, boop, be-doop. Hi, stinky boops. There's 1 and 2. Your water is full. Your foods is full. You all goods. Do an under the furniture check if we had any incidentals. I was gonna scoot the furniture because the windows are so cold. I was gonna move the dresser over there and switch the couch. But then they started having accidents under the dresser, which gross, but okay, we can clean and sanitize, whatever. And I can't do that or do it very efficiently without moving the couch unless they're on the couch. The boot scoot boogie. So I opted to not scamooch it around. What do you have? I don't know what that is, but it's probably not for kitties. Daisy is very present right now. You're so silly. Why are you chewing on that? That's not chew. That's clothes. What? What? You silly girl. What are you doing, Stripes? You just gonna chill? You gotta get medicine in 20 minutes. I feel so bad. I just wish their tummies would feel better. We'll see what the big panel says when we get that one back and just monitor them in between. It's the most we can do. That's the most we can do. They kind of do. I didn't get good information, but to be fair, I also didn't really ask, and that's on me. They were just weaned from their mom. It'll be a week tomorrow. A week ago tomorrow. So last Friday. So they do kind of think I'm mom now. They're much more social with me than they've ever been, which is kind of cool. But also means that they're clingy little stinkers, and that's okay. Even Stripes is being sweeter. Okay, I'm just making sure you're not eating anything. You're silly. You're gonna get drinkies, Daisy? Here, let me check your... You drank good. Okay. We'll monitor. Stripes is the only one with a fever so far. Knock on wood, everything is okay. I wonder if that's just because she's the runty runt. Little baby girl. It was scary this week, though. She got down to her weight of 2 weeks ago. But today she's back up to 1,520 grams. But Tuesday, the day after we went to the emergency vet, she was down to 1,388. Daisy's America today. She's 1,776 grams. And Nibbler lost a little bit, but not dramatically. She's at 1,490 grams. Little stinkies. Little stinkies. They're playing on their spot so much. You guys are so cute and silly. You're so cute and silly. I really do wonder what amount of it might be stress colitis. And that too, not having the lack of antibodies from it. Like, it's like they immediately stopped taking vitamins. I feel like it's just rather severe for it being just that, though. I mean, I'd love for there not to be another component, but I'd also love for them to feel better. Are you chirping or pooping, Daisy? Daisy's playing. I do kind of wish they were still nursing right now, though, because then they would have more antibodies. I did ask today if I should give them, like, KMR to try and supplement a little bit, but apparently it's okay, so we'll rock with it. Stripes, you gotta do good for me. You all gotta do good for me. Yes. Do you want the string? You can have the string back now. And then you gotta take your meds in a little bit. Nibbler, you're just hanging over the edge. What are you doing, girl? Just like, I don't know. Just making it work. Daisy says, string. String. Give me string. Stripes wants string. String, string, string. Nibbler, come be a part of the string club. Come be a part of the string club. They were so cute exploring. I was so proud of them for that. I really thought they were gonna be terrified and scaredy. They didn't like when the big dogs barked outside of the room, but it makes me... I don't know. I have such a small circle that they've only been socialized within my small circle, not like people parading in and out. And I was worried, like, especially for Stripes and Nibbler when they go to their new home. I feel like Daisy is outgoing. that they might be nervous or scared, but they were ready to explore right off the bat, which was cool. I think they'll do just fine. You guys just gotta feel better so you can get spayed and go home to your new friend. Yes. Yes. Oh, my darlings. Oh, my darlings. They're so cute and sweet. They're so cute and sweet. Conquer the chair. Nibbler is the tech girly. She kind of is. The two black kittens, the twins, are already accounted for. And we just gotta find a new mommy and daddy for little Miss Daisy over here. Little Miss Daisy. Little Miss Daisy. I feel like we're very lucky though. Not many people adopt black cats, and they were claimed like almost instantly. Which is wonderful. I thought they would be the hardest to home, but no, we got very lucky. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Hi. You're such a silly goose. Good girl, Drinkies. Good girl. Mm. No one wants Daisy yet, is the operative there. She'll get scooped up in a heartbeat. She's very cute. I shall have a few more updates to share with you all about the kittens and the Stream of the Dreams project, but I would like to have a few more hours of sleep under my belt before I talk out my ass, because I'd rather talk out my mouth. So sometime this week we shall dive into that a little bit. You get a French, you'll adopt all them Kimptons. Do it! Do it! Then you'll have a zoo too. It's fun, I promise. I twitch. No, it really is. Like, this whole experience is extremely, not just the kittens, but everything going on right now is a bit overwhelming. I never exactly anticipated, like, half of the zoo all having different problems all at once. That's a little difficult, lemon difficult. But I wouldn't trade any of these moments for the world. None of them. Even when I'm overwhelmed and ready to just cry. I wouldn't trade it for the world. They're not the frustration. It's me and my stress and my, I guess, running around. See, I'm not the best with words tonight. That I find frustrating. Hi, baby. And I feel bad because it's like, oh, you want to spend time with me, but they need me. And yeah. That's okay though. I'm being harder on myself than anyone in the zoo is. They're all being sweet with me. Slavka though loves to say good morning when I wake up, and I'm not a morning person. So she's not the happiest with me in the morning. So I'm just like, no. We're into spa day for sure, yes. ISO, but not gonna happen for a while. We gotta get everyone's tummies happy first. Just take a really long shower and call it a day. Yeah, the same person wants both of them, which is so cool. I love that. They're gonna be good friends together. Daisy has claimed my leg. Get the zoo taking turns giving massages. I think I've told you guys before, Voya will stretch up on my back sometimes while I'm set like this and like knead on it for just a good 30 seconds, but oh my god, I wish I could train him to do that for like just 2 minutes. It feels good. It feels so good. I love when he does that. You're an awesome human, Shadow Text. The world needs more people like you. You gotta get all the buddies out of the shelters. All into homes. You gotta have boogies. Thank you. Thank you. She's being so adorable. She tries to convince me every day to keep her, and it's like, dude, if I keep you, number one, I'll have a lot of fucking cats. Number two, that will be even more challenging to do any next rescue. Like, we really gotta try not to do that. We gotta try. It's the most important thing in life, is that you just try. She's being so cute. Stripes is being a little eeper. She had to get meds in 10 minutes. And I like how I can, like, get their meds down to, like, the second, but mine are, like, an hour and a half late. Nibbler's on camera control over here. What are you doing? Are you chewing on my watch? My nails are such a mess right now. I meant to fix them before stream, and then I didn't plan to stream, and then I streamed and I forgot, and now I realize that they're interesting. Wonder Twin powers activate. Oh my goodness. Welcome, Panda. You've probably seen this outfit a couple times over the years. It's my stupid clinical nurse uniform. I hope the week has been kind to you so far. Happy Purrs Day from the beans. Got the beans, Larry. We got the beans. Oh my goodness. You keep her, she doesn't get adopted. Oh, of course. I am a horrible person at fostering. I foster fail so many times. This is the first time I'll hopefully foster succeed. But my general rule of thumb is, if you're with me like 6 months, more approaching a year, you're here for life. Like, you already know the routine, you're settled, you know the world, you know me, you're comfortable, you're happy, you feel at home. That's about the cutoff for me. But any animal that I ever take in always potentially has a forever home here. All of them have ended up having forever homes here, but they all always have that option. Because or an angel, I don't know. Probably both. Tiny demons entering demon hours, right? Oh my goodness. It's after midnight. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. That's hype. Very hype. What are you doing, tiny one? You're wild. The twins are just eepy. Got little Miss Tech Crew over here. Daisy on the string. Miss Nibbler, or Miss Stripes. Why is this so crookedy? There we go. How you doing, girlfriend? You're okay. She didn't play as much as I would have liked. But we'll see how she feels about her demon hours tonight. I'm not gonna keep shining the light in her face. Let her rest for a few before meds if she wants to. Daisy, you're insane. You're insane. Aw, Panda, you're sweet. If I was ever an animal, I'd want to be at her house. I mean, you'd eat good, you'd sleep good. I can guarantee at least that. 2 hots and a cot. I'd like to think I give them a good life. I certainly do my best. And as my dad says, and I've been recently reminded, it's the trying and caring that counts. And I think that's very true. You can never be perfect, but you can always do enough. Stripes, you're just not interested, huh? I don't know if she's just being normal, sleepy, or lethargic. I'll keep an eye on her the rest of tonight, and then Munster has an appointment tomorrow, so I'll scoot her in with Munster if... Don't unzip my top. I'll scoot her in with Munster if I think she needs fluids or something. She's sleepy. She's doing blinkies. Blinkies, don't pull that, please. Daisy loves zippers. Like, loves them. It's quite ridiculous. She looks so different from the other two and seems smarter too. She's certainly more outgoing or like confident than the other two. She's very independent, like she just is sure of herself. The other two are a bit more reserved. Both their parents are street cats, so they kind of have the mentality, but Daisy got the house cat mentality gene. Good kitty for the wrong site, ma'am. We can't do that. Oh, we're gonna decide lace is our new favorite thing to chew up now. Okay, that's okay. These socks don't fit right anyway. Nope, nope, that's plastic hair. That's not for baby. It's not for baby. Just want to make sure she doesn't rip it. You're so silly. A dreamer can dream, even if it's a kiki. True. True. You're a silly boo. You're a silly boo. Daisy is very typical kitten. Nibbler and Stripes they like to play with things and run around and chase, and then they're sleepy. But Daisy is very people interactive. Like, I swear, I've socialized them all the same. I have not favored Daisy more. Daisy just naturally comes to me more. Hi, Nibs. How you doing? Nibbler is looking more and more like a mini mom every day. It's really cool. You're too small to jump that far. Where are you going? I look at her face and I see exactly Void's face. It's so cool. We'll visit Mom after we give Stripes some meds. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. You're so cute. Nibbler is very sleek. She definitely has a softer coat, just a little bit, than Stripes does. She has more of a coarse coat. She feels more like a Gunther, whereas Nibbler feels more like a Voya. Or like a mama. Wait, depth perception. You can figure it out. You can figure it out. Yes, you can. He does get into everything. A lot of that kitten floof calming down. It is. They're getting very sleek. I realized earlier, too, they've lost their wolfies, their fever roan that they first had. Girlfriend. Oh, someone just had a really big toot. That's gnarly. That was one of you two. I think it was Daisy. She's embarrassed. She's like, wasn't me. But I realized earlier they lost their fever roan coat. I don't know exactly when, but they don't have their little wolfy gray hairs anymore. Daisy might have a couple. She has some hairs that are like wiry and longer than others. But they can actually develop at any time that their coat's changing from birth to 6 months, and they lose it around 6 months. Which I don't remember Daisy having it at first, so she might be developing it a little bit. Are you gonna jump to the chair? There you go. Good job. Void is so soft. She's like a bunny rabbit. She's incredibly soft and fluffy. She's getting much more brave in the room, too. I'm proud of her. She usually doesn't come on during the day, but she greeted me this morning. She had my coffee with me this morning, and then she hid. But she got a treat. She was happy about that. Aww. And twins are gonna curl up on the chair. You guys are sleepy. It's gonna be medicine time. Daisy's the sibling that does not go to bed. She appreciates you like your coffee black. I think she does because she tried to drink it. She's very interested in my coffee. She's the only animal I've ever had that doesn't smell the coffee and immediately go, no, thank you. She instead, like, wants to try it, and I have to stop her. It's not her brightest moment. Let me see if I can. Oh, my back just did a wonky. Let me see if I can get this served up for Stripes and scruff it up for her. Why am I still trying to fix these? They're just gonna fall. Yep. Yes, there they go. Gone. Gone like a freight train. Gone like yesterday. Oh, yeah, clindamycin. That's what I thought it was. I was trying to remember earlier what it was. Oh, it's not food, it's medicine. I'm sorry. 0.5 mil. I don't like droppers like this. I complain a lot about droppers. 0.5 mil. Miss Stripes, come here, baby. I'm sorry. I know it's gonna taste really bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Almost, almost, almost. Good job. Good job, baby girl. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can't have a fever. You're just a baby. Oh, I'm done. Can I just close? Ah! I'm smart. I was gonna put the cap back on. I've been putting the cap back on, but I can just put the dropper on the topper. I forgot about that. That's a thing you can do. It's a thing you can do. Like when animals sniff your coffee and back off, like, this is poison. Yes. That's what everyone else does. Well, they're not staying up with kittens. I do like these. They just don't fit right. One size fits most does not generally fit me, unfortunately. And that's okay. I didn't expect them to make lingerie for someone the size of a 12-year-old anyway. But that's why I like Asian sizing more than American sizing. Which is helpful too, because stuff is cheap. Hi, baby stinkies. Hi. Miss Nibbler, are you happy? Say, I didn't get medicine. Yay. Stripes looks scarred for life. Sorry, darling. Sorry, darling. He's just like, why? Why the medicine, mother? Why? Why betray me like this? Why do this to me? Why? 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 Ooh, what Halloween shop, though? Spirit Halloween extra small is too big. Which sucks because sometimes I like what they have at Spirit and none of it fits. The only Halloween costumes I found that actually fit that are adult size and American sizing is the extra small for the brand Leg Avenue, I think it was. Because that's what my Alice one is from. And it fits like perfect. I was so happy with that. None of Spirit fits me. It's all too big. It's all too big. It stinks. Which is fine, like I can alter and edit things, but if I'm gonna do that, I should spend more than just Spirit money on something. I'm gonna check out the Spirit Christmas store. I don't know if we'll get there or not. We got poopy babies, but I'd like to take you guys. That would be fun. I want to check it out. No, Spirit doesn't fit. Sadly, because I've done many last minute runouts for costumes and tried. Their extra small is still too large. Stripes has my feet in a chokehold. She's got both of them at once. I don't even know how. She's got both my ankles. It's interesting. What are you doing, Daisy? Are you finger munching? Chomp, chomp. We probably gotta not. Ow! Have that habit. Ow! They don't like duck sounds. So I get their attention and tell them to stop. They're all looking at me like I'm evil right now. fucking weird. Here you go, Stinks. There you go. You're silly. You got your medicine. You're all good, darling. Oh my goodness. Ducks are the enemy. Maybe Void told them something about that. Maybe she got chased by a duck once. I don't know. You never know. You never know. Hi, Stripes. Oh, we're not gonna chew on garbage plates. Those are caca. Those are caca. Eki caca. Eki caca. You're very silly. Oh, now Stripes is in for the action. Arr, wrestle. Wrestle. You don't want to step on you. Wrestle. Wrestle. Donald Duck is their great and powerful leader. I don't know if Stripes will let me adjust the camera. Daisy. 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 What are you doing? Or Nibbler, not Stripes. Nibbler. Let me step this way. Daisy. Step lively now. Step lively now. There we go. That's better. Babies. I feel like such a galunking Hulk around them. They're so tiny and I'm so big. But I'm not, but they're so tiny. They're so little. They're so cute and darling. You guys need to have stable tummies. I just keep trying to remind myself that the most important thing through all of this is that I stay calm. Because stress colitis for me, for example, little kid, is definitely a thing. So I'm trying to stay as calm as possible. Which is a tall ask. It's an interesting timeline. I just feel so bad. I want their little tummies to feel better. I'm giving us an emo stream tonight. But there's kittens, but big feels. But kittens! Ow. And long nail. Ow. Long nails. And big feels. Don't go in the garbage. Nibbler's like, I ate. Weigh me now. She's on the scale. I'll have higher numbers. Hi. Love you. You just gotta get through the next odd week. And then we'll have results from your big panel. And hopefully everything we'll just wake up tomorrow and everything will be fine, right? That would be nice. That would be nice. What are you doing, darling? Nibbler. Daisy playing with fake mom. I don't even know what she's doing now. See, crazy girl. What are you doing? What are you doing? Daisy's looking for a daddy. She's looking for a sugar daddy. Adopt Daisy. I double dog dare you. Just sleeping like a turd. I mean, that's what probably 90% of the cats in my house are doing. Except for the babies, so it's not quite out of character. Hi. Hello. Little Miss Stripes. You've got you on the watch. Okay. Gotta chew on the watch. What do you mean to startle you? Most of the guys I know that have cats, they do crawl up their boxer shorts, which sounds gross and weird, but like you can't stop cats from being cats because cats gonna cat. But like I find it very interesting. I don't know, mine crawl up my shirt, so I guess same thing. Kind of. Daisy's the little cow, yeah, the black and white one. Or the gray and white one. My big girl. She must take after her daddy. Doing some munchies and drinkies. Munchies and drinkies. It's get that going on, and then we'll go in and see Mama. Give me a time and place. Their tummy's gotta feel better first. The bee buzz. The bee buzz. Love you, monkeys. I do. I should link my zoo Instagram in here. If you are serious. How far are you from me? I'm in Chicago. And I was gonna say, if you're within like 3 hours driving distance, send me a message on my zoo Instagram if you're serious. I want her to find a good home. I would love to keep her more than anything. I really would. I'd love to keep all of them. But the more I keep, the less I can help. So, catch 22. What are you doing, Beans? You're not chewing on the records, are you? Hour from Cleveland? I don't remember how far Ohio is. When I got pulled over in Ohio, it was like 2 a.m. and then we got back home at like 10 a.m. So it's maybe a little bit too far. Maybe. Like a 14-hour drive is the Serena Flying. Oh. Yeah. If you took the mountain route and tollways, probably. Otherwise, it's like 24 hours if you take the south route through Texas and you don't drive through tollways, because I don't drive through tollways. I did the other day, though, for my doctor's appointment. That sucked. I had to go online and pay my tolls. I was going to be late. Come on, we can't land the... This is so cute. And then I have to get them out of it. They're in the records. Surprise, kitty. Surprise, kitty. I don't think we should be on those, though. Okay, bye. Hi. Bye. Hi. Bye. Hi. And Stripes in there, and Nibbler is observing. Whoops! I just flipped us that one wonky. Boop, boop, boop. Are you gonna crawl out on your own? You gotta find a way to tuck that back in, sweets. Okay, then I gotta get you out, darling. Goofy goober. Goofy goober. She is a goofy goober now. Goofy goober now. Goofy goobers. Goofy goobers. Goofy goobers. Oh, that's a pretty long ride from Cleveland area to Florida. Miami makes me nervous, and I don't know why. I feel like it's just too much for me. Thinking about you being a speed demon, yeah, I can't help it. I'm very naughty about that. You're a law-abiding citizen. All right, I'm packing up the cats right now. Let's go. Logging off. Good night. Perfect. Oh my goodness, because all hood rouse and tourists. Oh, my gut is right then. Not that that's what I thought it was, but it doesn't feel like it's somewhere I should be. I don't know why. It's just not. Okay, we're gonna cover this up a little more. There we go. Bless you. Okay, I'm glad that's what everyone finds interesting at the moment. That's lovely. That's lovely. Hi, baby. I love strip clubs. I find them mesmerizing. There's so many pull tricks that are so difficult, It takes so much practice and precision. It's amazing. I'd rather go to like a strip club than like a Cirque du Soleil show. You see basically the same level of acrobatics, but you know, you're supporting your local cause. Oh my goodness. Peanuts. You all gotta feel better and good, okay? What is in your mouth? Wait, can we not do this while we're having drama? Good lord. That's a floofy. It's not for babies. It's not for babies. Not for babies. Not for babies. Oh, we gotta do this in multiple trips again. We have wily creatures. Wily ones. Wily ones. Everyone will love me. I'll just bring Daisy with me everywhere I go. Why is my face... Like, is it just not unswelling from... Like, that looks like swelling. Is it just pillow smush? What the fork? I got a fat face today. I don't know why. Aww. All the babies want to say goodnight, everybody. Good night, Colt. We love you. We love you. Alright, that's out there. That's out there too. Hello, little beans. I love you. Hello, Babu. Yep, you're just waiting for the door to open right back up. Yep. It's okay. We'll be right back in with you in a little bit. Be right back in with you in a little bit. You climb your way up. Oh my god, you guys make it so hard to leave the room. You're so cute and marvelous and wonderful. Daisy. Nibbler. Stripes. Okay, darling. We gotta be able to boop boop boop. Boop 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 boop. Boop 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 boop. Boop. We booped. Excellent. Alright, I'm gonna pop us in with mom and then get everything out here that I need to put away. Their plates gotta go in the garbage and I gotta put their can in the fridge. Hey mama. Hey mama bear. I gotta mark down on the to-do list too. Gotta write down my clinical notes. Mama. I always want to sing that to her and she doesn't like it. She doesn't like it. They're so cute. Mommy duty. Mom doesn't have to be a mom anymore. She can just be a cat now. She's on a pillow in a bed as she should have been her whole life. We love that for her. I get a snack for you in 2 seconds. Really long Mississippis. Really long Mississippis. Boobies. Hi, Mini Mom. How you doing? See, I'm calling Nibbler Mini Mom, but I'm calling Void Mini Mom too. Like, make it make sense. Alright, we can creep on the boys from over here. Hi, Void. How you doing, sweet girl? How you doing? How you doing? Oh, you hear that, Void? We've earned a spa day. Oh, I'm just imagining both of us with like cucumbers on our eyes, bathrobes, stretched out in chairs, towels, the facials, the whole works, and she's getting her claws painted and clipped, and just imagine how happy she would be. No, she would not like that at all. She is not a social butterfly, but neither am I. So maybe we're just made for each other. You never know. I do love her though. I do love her. We'll really see if her personality decides to become dramatically different as she's separated from the kittens, but I really do have a sense that she'll be a permanent resident of the zoo. She's just a very skittish girl that would require the perfect right scenario for her. And I don't want her to just be someone's cat who hides scared forever and ever and ever. But you gotta learn to get along with puppies. You can drink some coffees. We'll get you some snacks. Yes, who wants the cup? She wants the beans. I got the beans. I got the beans. I got them. She doesn't have to be a basement cat if she doesn't want. Exactly. I don't know. I feel like she's just slowly becoming so comfortable here that I don't know if she would be okay with restarting that process somewhere else. Like Marbles has always been very shy, and when I first had her here, I was her third home that she ever had. She was surrendered to a shelter. One of my old clients had adopted her, and then her circumstances changed. So I ended up with Maya, Marbles, and Ming, a half Siamese cat, Marbles, tabby cat, and then a Siamese cat, Ming. And Marbles, you literally had to like carry her out of the basement, and I had to really work on socializing her just for her to get along with everybody and not be terrified of me. But just up until the last year, maybe, she's really kept to herself. She's gotten a bit more social with age, which is nice. But she still hides when someone other than like someone she knows comes over, like a tech person or whatever. She will be nowhere to be seen. Or if my dad wears like work boots instead of like tennis shoes, she hides at first. She says that's scary. That's scary. She do have a swat power. She smacked Ringo real good earlier, but she don't got no claws. But she smacked Ringo real good. He just wanted to boop her and say hi, and she wanted breakfast, and gave him the old one too. You ready for snacky? You ready for snacky? Let's do some true. Yes, you are very brave today. I don't know what you were brave about, but you were very brave. Because you exist and you're wonderful. And you came out to greet me this morning and this afternoon. She's starting to do leg grabbies too when she wants attention, which is really, really cute and cool. Do some snackies, and then we'll mark down on the do list what we done did. Yes. Peeking on the bee-buzz. Maybe jump into a little bit of Batman. I don't know what time it is. 12:23. We shall see. We shall see. I'm going to have to be strict the next couple of days too, because if I don't stay on routine, I lose my mind. It's just a more stressful existence, so. Boring Serena is back. Guess who's back? Back again. Boring Serena's back. Tell your friends. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Oh, no. Okay, that's enough. Yummy! Delicious. Delicious and nutritious. Woo! Oh, the baby. Munster doesn't care which is which, but Void definitely likes the Trues more than the Temptations. However, we have Temptations money, not Shuru money. So when these are done for, we're going back to Temptations girlfriend. Yes. But if you like boring, then you are in the right place. You have found your people, found your world. He's gotta be on routine. I feel like everyone exists with some kind of order. For some people, it's like a strict routine. For some people, your routine is operating on chaos. One or the other, whatever fits you best. We all have something that we like to stick with. And I am just so much better at life and such a better mom and human and creature when I am on routine. Till we get that sponsor, I know. I want to just send them a message, but I need to organize my social media so it's less like hoey. Oops. But that's okay. We'll get there. I feel like it's just worth a try, because then we have our name in the hat. And then we can always reach out later again. Or they can reach out later again. I don't know. It's possible. It's possible. I got one of the Amazon auto shipments yesterday of 4 of the delectables for Tank and 6 of the Temptations for Munster and everyone else. And I was thinking about that yesterday. Like, we really need a sponsorship for this. We need. Oh, Void's so happy. She's purring so big. She's a happy girl. Happy girl. I lost her for the first time earlier. She was underneath my black shelving unit on the bottom shelf, and she blended in. I lost her for the first time. Tank alone needs a sponsor, such a snacky boy. Yeah, he loves the snacks. He had to go to the vet today. Him and Pippi did for their arthritis shots. And I had to lure him into the crate with snacks. Thankfully, he still has that, like, a feral mentality for it. He just follows the bowl, moving so slowly. This is the second month that I'm doing the arthritis shot for Pippi, and I didn't really see a difference last month. I want to see how she feels this month. I feel like I'll definitely be able to see the difference in her range of motion with the snow, and then I'll probably skip it in January and compare, because I don't think it's making too much difference. Is Tank still getting stoned to go to the vet? No, this is his actually second visit with no drugs. I'm very proud of him. He has not bit anyone, and he's been very polite. So I've been told. He's being very sweet. He's being very amicable, and I'm proud of him. I'm very proud. Because that was scary. He had a bad reaction to his drugs. There was one time where he had spit out his pill, and I didn't realize it because it was in a pill pocket, and he wasn't drugged for it. And that was interesting. But then there was the time that the drugs hit him. Same dose, didn't fuck it up. Swear in my mother's grave. I did it right. I know I did. The count is the same backwards in the container. But he had a bad reaction to it, and one of his pupils was large. One of them was slit. And according to my vet, he was tripping balls. It wasn't that he had too much to, like, risk an overdose. It was just too much to just be calm instead of getting you stoned as shit. So I had to literally keep him in the dark in his room for like 5 hours to calm down and come out of it, because lights and colors would be too stimulating, and it was so bad. I was crying in the office because I thought he was about to die, because I went into the room to get him for his appointment. I gave him his meds, and then I went to go get him, and he walked up to greet me at the door and then fell over limp, like not moving. And I have the video on the camera, and I've watched it over and, like, both cringed and been proud of myself. But I picked him up, I checked his vitals, he's limp in my arms, I'm getting him comfortable to slide into the carrier, sliding him into the carrier. It's amazing those moments feel like they last for so long, but it's only like not even 60 seconds at most. But that was terrifying. I thought that he was just gonna be dead. I don't know. That was horrible. That was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. So no more drugs for Tank. No more. See, he had a bad trip. No more. No more. But I guess that happens sometimes, and that's why not ACE is not commonly prescribed in cats. It's more like a gabapentin, or there's another one they use to calm down. But that was very scary. That was very scary. I thought he just had a heart attack and keeled over and died, and instead he was just tripping balls. He did start to come to and like move a little bit when we got in the car though, because he was overstimulated and drugs. So, I mean, that was good, but bad. That was a time to be alive. Welcome, Romeo Dawson. Thank you. Nurse Harley is in. I'm surprised this stayed on with 2 clips. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. Oh, little mama bear. Did I get too close? Oh, do you want to play a little bit? She was playing with the string right here. She's kind of figuring it out. She's also a little dumb. She loves playing with chords. We gotta work on that. That's a problem. That's a problem. See, I don't know any better. I'm from the street. I'm from the streets. Do do do. Like, she just extends her paws and like almost catches it, and sometimes catches it. Like, she kind of looks like she's on drugs trying to play with it. She's a little special. I think she'll learn and get more playful though. Like, that's normal kitty moves. That's good. She's just a little derpy. She's learning. He's figuring it out. Then she gets nervous and looks around like for threats. I think it's going to take her a good while to feel completely safe. Which is natural. She was an outdoor kitty. She had to be minding her 6 for a long time. Probably a good almost 2 years. Closer to 2 years than that. Because she would have been about 6 months old by the time Tank was coming around. And that was July, we'll say approximately like May, July of 2024 last year. So that would make her a year and a half now. But she's a small girl. She could have been a little older then, too. But I do think she was pregnant last October-ish. I think it was when we last tried to trap her. When she was super trap savvy. And then she just walked into my neighbor's house. You said, I'm sick of having kids outside. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. What character are we dressed up as? Tonight we're doing Nurse Harley Quinn. Not from one of the movies, reference being one of the comic book covers. However, there is not an accurate representation when I'm curled up in a ball playing with the cat at the moment. Nurse Harley. Blurp, blurp, blurp. I think you just like being paid attention to. Not so much played with, but paid attention to. You look satisfied with that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I did post a picture on my socials. You're so derpy. When she's annoyed, she kind of pulls her lips back a little bit like a dog, and she shows off her little vampire teeth. She's so funny. That cosplaying is a Pokeball currently. Serena TV. I choose you, and then I just somersault out into the arena. Don't chew that up and break it. Jeez, I didn't expect you to do that. Okay, you didn't. I thought maybe you did. Boyd went rogue. She went rogue. She went rogue. I feel like Margot Robbie has done so many different versions of Harley. But there are so many even more versions of Harley, and there's so much fan art. Like, she's such a versatile character. It's wonderful and awesome. Margot Robbie's never done this one, though. I don't think it's a common cosplay. I've only seen it in the comic cover. It's not old, but it's not necessarily new either. I have the date and the cover pulled up on this device, but I can't do that while we're streaming. Not yet, exactly. I do think she said something about not wanting to play Harley for a period of time, though. I don't know what it was exactly or what it was in reference to, but it was around the time that Lady Gaga was playing Harley, and I think Margot Robbie did some kind of interview where it would be a period of time where she would want to play Harley again. Eat a baby. I would imagine that seriously acting versus cosplaying, it would actually be kind of taxing to play Harley. And she's a fun character, but there's so much baggage that she has that with cosplay you don't have to care about that because you just have to kind of look the character and have some fun, cool little catchphrases and a little accent here and there. But to truly act as her is possibly a little bit difficult, like not on par with like Heath Ledger's The Joker, but similarly too. Similarly. Margot Robbie's a member of Club Cult and getting ideas. I mean, that would be fucking cool as shit. That would be awesome. A lot of actors don't want their career to be symbolic with just one character. That makes a lot of sense because she went from doing all the Harleys all the Suicide Squads and Birds of Prey to Barbie, and then I don't think she's been in anything big since. I think she's very smart with the way that she moves through her roles. She has a very recognizable face, but she melts into her character as well, and I think she times things perfectly because of that. Or in addition to that. I think for the context of the role that he played, Jared Leto was not a bad Joker at all. Could they have maybe casted someone serious that added a bit more storyline depth rather than just chaos? Maybe. But for that, they wanted the Joker to be in that series. He did well with it. It's all about the terminology. She nailed Barbie. I mean, I'd nail Barbie, but just saying. She did, though. She did very good with that. I watched that movie in the background, and I want to rewatch it more paying attentionly at some point. Maybe this weekend when I put myself on shit and duty. I think that's the cool part of the Suicide Squad movies, though. That it's all action and lacked any story, but you were able to visualize the action if you knew the story from the comics, and otherwise you could just enjoy it as a wild thriller, a wild action-packed thriller. It gave it an opening for two audiences, people who knew nothing and didn't need to learn too much, and people who already knew all the things and wanted to see it come to life. They did a really good job with it. Not much of a movie buff. I'm not either, but I have my specific little niches that I like. I couldn't be that specific for every movie out there, that's for sure. The last movie I watched was Homeward Bound, so that's how cool I am. Margot Robbie is a mom. Did she have a little peanut? That's exciting. That's hype. Aww. I feel like she would be a good mom. She just seems like such a good and genuine human from any media that I've seen her in, like interview-wise or in passing. She seems so very sweet. I think there's a super viral one of her stopping and talking to a fan in sign language, and she seems like an awesome human. I feel like she'd be a good mom. Grab a shovel, Cyogenics. It's Homeward Bound. I still can't believe my nurse didn't know what that was. Like, I get it when I say Pippi Longstocking and then people don't know her name. Like, Pippi Longstocking is slightly before my time. Like, give or take probably 3 or 4 years. So she's slightly before my time. I get it. But I still know who Pippi Longstocking is. But to not know Homeward Bound, that one I don't know if I can forgive. I don't know. Kids these days, they needed the emotional damage of Homeward Bound to become tough and cool like I am. They needed it. They needed it. You're just over the toy now. Did you just discover your reflection in the TV because the TV is off? Big stretch. Happy butt. Happy butt. Got a lot of old out of your system talking to your cousins. Aw. It's cute. What they really needed was the emotional damage of Old Yeller. Oh, God. Do not get me started. Do not get me started. I never saw the movie, but I read the book. I was told to. My dad was big on me reading the classics or whatever, and it was terrible. Like, no one told me it was going to end like that. Like, I was an advanced reader, so I read it, like, when I was, like, 8. And, like, that was fucked up. It was fucked up. The book is terrible. No, it's terrible. And the same thing with Marley and Me. I will not watch the movie because the movie will be sad, and I will not reread the book because it destroyed me. I finished it in study hall and bawled my eyes out. Are you playing with that finally? Oh, you're so brave. She was sketched out by it when I turned it on. Welcome, boy. Hope you're having a wonderful night so far. Marley and Me, the book is brutal, though. 11 out of 10 recommend as a read, but, like, also don't read it because you'll destroy yourself. It's rough. It's rough. Oh, I feel like we talked about this a few weeks ago. Where the red fern grows. It's hard for me to say. Sounds familiar, but I can't place what it's about. I don't know if it was. I don't think I read it, but I don't know if it was on one of the lists of options that I had or if my niece read it. Crazy, they got such sharp claws hidden in their soft paws. I know. They're murder mittens. Aww. Piercings are such like a love-hate relationship. I know a bunch of the girls, like the vet techs, have piercings at my vet's office, but he doesn't let them wear them at work. But I didn't know that. I just learned that recently. Like, oh my God, who has a piercing? Now I'm asking everyone like a crazy person. Marley and Me is so heartwarming, except the end is so brutal. It's just so brutal. Baby Floyd, get it. Where did I get what? The cat toy? I think it's Potterama brand from Amazon. Poratama or Potterama, something like that. I know Void has the most beautiful smile. That's why she's looking at herself in the mirror right now. She's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. She's stunning and she knows it. That's the heat kicking on, Mama. Oh, me. Well, that's very sweet. Not on camera, though. Do you ever stretch your cats? I don't call it cat stretching. I call it like holding them like a fish, because that's how you hold like a prized fish that you would catch in like taxidermy or whatever. But the ones that will tolerate, I do that with. Not all of them will tolerate it though. Accordion cat. Some of them do, not all of them. Slavka likes it, but none of the other females do. Voya likes it, Kid likes it, Chong will tolerate it. Munster doesn't like it, Tank doesn't like it, Gunther doesn't like it, Zeke doesn't like it. Yeah, it's like holding a prized fish. We always called it the fish pose when I was a kid. And I found it surprising that social media turned it into the stretch pose. I love that she's so curious about this. This is a beautiful, pivotal moment in life. It's magical. Void is coming out of her shell. It's so cool. I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of her. Zeke does just want to sit on lap and be loved. Never be moved. Void, you see your reflection? You're so silly. He's just a simple man. He just wants to love. I felt so bad. I was trying to think in every direction to set everything up earlier at the computer, and he kept wanting to do lap, and I was like, buddy, I need space. I need to be able to move and think and sort out and figure. You gotta hold on. He tried like 3 times, and I told him no like 3 times. You gotta give him some lap before bed. That's you? You gonna check out the tree? You can do it. She has not checked out the tree yet. We'll see. See how we feel about that. We're doing some sniffs. He was kind of smothering me. Like, it wasn't his fault. He just wanted attention. But if he curled up on my lap, he would have turned my leg numb, and then I would have been even slower getting ready. And I didn't want to do that. And he couldn't take up space on the desk because I needed to be able to see everything. It was just like, oh man, I'm not doing everything perfect for you right now. I'm sorry. No tree. You can do some eats. Do some bed. What are you gonna do, ma'am? Get some food. Okay. You get some foods. Gonna peek in on the babies and then bop us back to the strim room. I don't know what's up with everyone else's cats and the cucumbers. My cats don't care about cucumbers. I did try that with them. I haven't tried the cement block thing though, where they like to lay on that one. I don't know. I have hardwood floors and I feel like that would just scratch. Void might be the favorite cat. She has 2 TVs. This is just my easy watch for the boys. That's the boys' room camera. And then she's got the big TV. I mean, she does have the biggest TV, so she is privileged that way. You're so pretty, little Miss Mama. You put this out there for us. I can't carry cup and tripod at the same time. Hold on, Miss Thing. Hold on. BB's is all napping. Void. Hi, sissy. Oh, you're right. I forgot to mark off on the calendar. You are correct. You are correct. I do like my floors. I am going to miss my floors. I will be honest about that. They're in pretty decent shape. They could probably do with a, what is it, like refinishing because of all the dog nail scratches. But outside of that, the floors in the boys' room, like the stream room, they're beautiful. They're perfect. There's one chip from, this still pisses me off, but I was young and stupid. And it's like really just a banal thing. But when I bought my house, the people that I bought it from were still moving out the day of, and there's a chip in the floor in the stream room, whatever. And the daughter of the old lady selling the house, asked me to send her a picture of the chip in the floor to send to the moving company. Which now thinking back, I should have gotten the reimbursement because it's my fucking floor. But I wasn't thinking because I was a 19-year-old idiot. Everyone who's 19 is an idiot. That's just undisputed. And that really irks me when I think back on it. It's like a whole chunk missing. Like there's a good... I would need to get like a small piece of wood to put over it and like end up gluing and like buffing and sand. It would be very difficult, and I'll try and stop at that piece of the floor to give a better visual when we get in there if I remember it. But thinking about it, I think I should have gotten the reimbursement from the moving company. Even though they weren't moving my stuff, they murked up my floor and they would have gotten money back for murking up the floor. But whatever, it's semantics. Semantics. It's probably an easy fix. It's just a little blip in the floor that I haven't dealt with for years. It just is there to remind me of being young and dumb. Yeah, thinking back, I think that definitely should have been for me, but whatever. I didn't know any better. You got their wet food. Void, we do your meal before midnight. You all got your... Oh, why am I looking at this? We didn't... No one got dinner yet, so there's like nothing to cross off. Stripes got her meds. Harley, Xmas. No, we did nurse Harley, but that's okay. That's life. Okay. The books are happy. Void, I love you. You're very cute. Very cute. You're very cute. She got a curly tail. Little curly noodle tail. Curly noodle tail. Alright, let's go inspect the piece of flooring and then you men can tell me what to do. I don't know exactly the process, but I think it would be buffing out or grinding out a little bit of the floor and then adding a piece of wood and probably some wood filler. And then kind of not buffing or grinding, but something else, light sanding to get it back into the natural look of things, and then staining so that it would match the rest. It would just be like a multi-day project because of drying time. Where is the spot? I think it's under my chair. Yeah, there it is. I need to sweep. It's a no judgment zone. It's this spot over here. Just that. But there's, God, probably like a 1/16 of an inch of the wood that's out of it. Hi, Mr. Voya. You're very cute. You're very cute. You're very cute. Flip us over and maybe I'll get audio right. Maybe I won't. Yes, microphone. Do microphone things. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hire you as my Discord telecontractor box. I don't mind learning stuff. I like DIY, number one. I like being handy, number two. And it's better to know a little about a lot than a lot about a little. Would it be completely wood filler, do you guys think? Or would I need to splice a little piece of wood into it? Another option is I do have, like, extra planks. But, or whatever, like, these pieces of wood for the floor are called. I don't actually know. I know nothing. But I could just replace the whole thing. But I feel like that would be harder. It would be simple. It'd be a one-day project that would probably be a pain in the ass. Versus the other would be multiple steps, but would be a little more gentle, maybe, on my soul. I don't know. I don't know. Just picturing you having to cut out and replace part of a plank. I guess I could, but that feels lemon. That feels like I need to call my dad for help, and he would prefer I didn't do that. And fill in the blank space with square cuts if you need. I feel like that would be decent. Yeah, I mean, when this house is sold, it'll probably be like a chair, like a couch, something in this corner. We're not going to utilize the space. More than likely in the same way that I'm utilizing it. It is a nice little sitting corner. Like, I used to have my desk in front of the fireplace, and it's nice. I like it. This room in particular has a good setup. This light humbles me. It's like a piece of my soul drops when it falls. It's not emotionally comfortable. I don't know why it bothers me so much. Stop it. I need to make sense of it so that I can stop it. Life hack. Lights be damned! Sure, just yell at it every time, and that's how I cope. I could do that, but I feel like that would be, I mean, comfortable for me, but, like, uncomfortable for you guys. That would maybe not be very nice. I don't know. Boya's joining us for a moment. Shh, we're in the library. Shh. Aw, I love you. I love you. I love you. Yeah, I don't think yelling at it is the solution. I don't think so. Or it shouldn't, I mean, it could be, but it shouldn't be. It's not the healthiest. Our goal is to remain as calm and stress-free as possible for the time being, right? Goose Fraba, Hakuna Matata, all that. All that good stuff. Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean. So I guess tentatively we'll probably halt on putting Christmas stuff up until the babies are feeling better, or at least I have them started on meds for everything that's going on. I'm not sure how adventurous Zeke's gonna be with all of it. And I don't want to do something too crazy that requires all of the monitoring, or have to take down something that I don't even think might be too crazy that does require all of the monitoring when I can't do it. So I kind of lied when I said we were going to do that this week, but I didn't know any better. But I think that's a better plan of protocol. Being inked a bunch real soon. Nice. Is that your Christmas present for yourself? I haven't gotten tattooed in so long. I miss it. It's good therapy. It's very good therapy. If you wanted to do one of those rage rooms, I would love to, but I'm afraid that I would end up hurting myself. Like, not in, like, a dangerous way, but, like, I would break something and it would fleck back on me. Which maybe they know, like, what's safely breakable. I don't know. Maybe there's something that's okay about it. But it'd be cool. But I'm nervous that I would backfire on me. I'm hyped for you, Box. What tattoo are you most excited about? It's very true. The holidays do need to be fluid, otherwise you go mad about it. And Zeke's first Christmas, Baby's first Christmas, Void's first Christmas. I want everything to be calm for everybody. Some calm. No kids, so what else am I gonna spend it on? Cats. Cats or tattoos? Choose your poison. Or choose both. It do make you wear some protective gear. Okay, so it's not as bad. I just imagined, like, only goggles. Only goggles. You can jump! Jump for joy! I just watched that episode of My Name is Earl. And do some torso tats like I have going on. I find it so funny that I focused on that to be professional, and then I end up not being professional, and now I'm just tatted up like a dude. It's bonkers. Oh, I have permission to jump? Can I jump for joy? It's a can I versus should I equation. It's bedtime. I can jump into bed. But that means I just hit the stop stream button even faster. So like 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I feel like most men, like especially in professional scenes, but like that like having tattoos, are tattooed on their torso more than on their arms, or like full sleeves. Like they'll have a lot of torso work or back work done. And I have a lot of chest and torso, well not a lot, but a decent amount of chest and torso work done. And only 2 on my arms. So, oops. Maybe that's not more common with men anymore, but back when I used to see dudes shirtless, we don't do that anymore. Be more tatted up in this realm versus this realm. I can sleep. Can I though? Oh my god. I've been waking up before my alarm every single sleep for I don't even know how many days now. I'm just awake, and it's very rare that I snap awake, but that kind of indicates how stressed I am. No, I want the babies to be healthy. Healthy. Can I shower? Can I take my makeup off? Can I take my wig off? Can I put my jammies on? Oh my goodness. I always have a little toque before bed when I'm taking the dogs out. It is about time to say goodnight, but I'll probably finish up with the zoo around, I don't know, 2:30. Then I'll make dinner. Then I'll take the dogs out again, and then probably go to bed around 4-ish. Oh, not lonely. I'm with the doggos. If all it took for you is have a good night's sleep, I tell you that every night. I wish. It'd be nice to have a button to press for that. I have sleeping pills. I'd just rather wake up if something is a problem versus try and actually get a good chunk of sleep undisturbed. I'd rather be disturbed. What is this song? This is annoying. Very rarely do songs really make my head itch, and that one made my head itch. Sorry if you guys liked it, but I didn't. That was no bueno. It's so cold out, though. It's gonna suck to be outside tonight. I'm not looking forward to taking the dogs out. My voice is rough from it. What is the temperature right now? -9 degrees. Feels like -2. We're gonna get a little bit more snow on Sunday, maybe. Tuesday, Wednesday, it'll clear up a little bit, and then rain. Then Thursday, it'll be freezing, and we get snow again. So, a repeat of this week. Like, gone like a freight train, gone like yesterday. I don't know why that song has stuck with me for so long, but it has. It's one of the few, I think it's a country song, few country songs that I like. It's a good one. Is it a Garth Brooks song? I went through a slight country phase, and my grandpa bought me the discography of Garth Brooks, and I still have it in a drawer somewhere, but I've literally never opened it. I should sell it. Oh no, it's Montgomery Gentry. Yeah, it's country. Montgomery Gentry. How do you even say that without a country accent? Montgomery Gentry? Oh god, that sounds funny. Montgomery Gentry. I didn't know it was possible to get any whiter than redneck, but I think I just did it. I would like to take a bow for providing you all with my magical stylings and service for the evening. Oh my god. Mont, not Mount, Mont. Like Monty Python. If you don't say it country, it sounds like a medical condition. Call Dr. House. It's not lupus, it's Montgomery Gentry. Oh, that's how we know it's bedtime. That has tickled me to the core. Damn. Okay. Humbled. Humbled is like the word of the new month just started, but like the word of the season so far. Oh god. It's never lupus. Except for with my aunt. My aunt does have lupus. I think you guys are like the only ones of my family that know that besides my aunt and her husband. I haven't told my dad, but my dad's never mentioned it, and neither has his brother or his brother's wife. I don't think anyone else knows. But I didn't find out until my aunt visited me in the hospital and was signed to be my power of attorney and all that good stuff. That was fun. I didn't know that, though. The baby boy. She gives me so much hope. She's so strong and brave. It's my aunt and uncle who do like marathons and triathlons and go to different countries and do different runs and all of the crazy things. And it's amazing to me that she has cultivated the best healthy lifestyle that she can for herself. And she has really great advice too, which I've appreciated about how to navigate the worser days than the better days. A lot of the autoimmune diseases have similarities. They do. I find that very interesting. Even if they affect different parts of your body. There's kind of like a general subset of symptoms. Lupus is usually the first guess. No one's blamed me for that one. Okay, boss. Boss says bedtime. You look so cheeky. Face the camera and show everyone the face that you're making at me. He's like, yes, I know everything. I know everything. I know everything. I know everything. Yes. Babies. He is the boss man. I don't know if it's just targeted commercials or if it really is becoming the most common to do like infusion therapy for autoimmune diseases, but I see so many commercials about it. It seems like that's the top of the line way to treat it. I don't actually know how my aunt manages hers. I don't know if she manages them or can with steroids, or there's like at-home injections, because I was offered the option of that. No thank you. Like, I'll do insulin for the cats if I need to, but I'm squeamish with me. I'm just a big fucking baby. I can't help it. I can't help it. I don't want to do that. Oh my gosh. I wonder if that's more recent or what though. I feel like a lot have been developed. So many different things. No, I'm not taking the dogs out in this. I got my PJs over on the side. I got a stupid Chicago hoodie that's like touristy. And then a giant pair of like extra large gray sweatpants. That's what I'll be taking the dogs out in. And the dogs do have sweaters. It is cold outside. They do have sweaters. They're going to be cozy. Cozy buddies. Medical science is always advancing. For better or for worse. But I do appreciate the level of medical care available. I'm grateful for that. Boy, you look like you're about to do something sus. They have boots, but they haven't had to wear their boots yet. It's not below 0. Right now I just monitor them to make sure they're not out for like more than 5 minutes. But they have little sweaters on. Little sweaters. They're lucky they've got an on-call nurse. I'd like to think so. Though don't jinx it. I don't need any more medical emergencies tonight. I'm gonna be off call, off duty, not on call when I hit this button. Don't page me for anything. Oh my goodness. I was talking, one last ramble. I was talking to my dad the other day. I was looking at different things, and we were talking about, we got into the topic of pagers in terms of cell phones. And I brought up that I'm actually surprised that pagers didn't come back into style, because the point of a phone is to be connected to everything always. But then we both kind of realized that this isn't an Apple Watch, but the Apple Watch is kind of, oh my god, yes, Voya, I know. I know. The Apple Watch is essentially a pager, which I find interesting, but I'm surprised they didn't come back as like a secondary thing. Ringo's so cute in a sweater. I just wish he would sit still for pictures, and he won't. He won't. I posted a picture on socials box. Very rarely do I like love my selfies, but I do like that one. He is such a baby. I thought he was gonna mute us. He's being very, very serious about bedtime. It's like a panther on a tree. Or a whatever cat climbs in trees. I think most of them do. I don't know if lions do. He's a big baby. I can't write log off things if you're in my arms, darling. I can't do it. You enjoying yourself? I feel like jaguars, yes. I know, like, mountain lions hunt from the trees. They jump down from. I don't know if they drag their prey up to. There was just a segment on Jack Hanna earlier that I don't remember what the big cat they were talking about had their prey up in a tree. Hi. Hi. I should know. It cycles through the episodes, so I've seen them all a million times, but... Hey, baby. Are you gonna be big baby? Like, you're just gonna pretend like you have no self-control right now and potato out? Okay. Okay. Mountain lions mostly stalk for prey. If they're in their tree, they're scared. Am I thinking cougars then? Whatever lives in the mountains. Not necessarily in the mountains, but in mountainous... the cat in Homeward Bound. The wild cat, not Sassy. There's a book series about horses that I used to love that they would have to worry... A mountain lion. Or a cougar. Or a lynx in the original book. They had a few encounters with a big cat like that. I loved that series. It was so wonderful. I was so sad when it ended. A catamount? That sounds so fancy. It sounds so fancy. Are you a little baby catamount? Catamount? This catamounts to all of my love. I like that terminology. I like that terminology. It's a good one, it is. Hey, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Long Distance Hug because I'm being sat on by a cat. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the cult. It is whatever you want it to be, baby. It's a choose your own adventure, and thank you for taking the time to be here tonight. Puma was the last one you forgot. Pumas are cute. I like Puma shoes. I had a pair years ago, and they fit so well. I think I have Champion ones now, and those fit okay, but whenever I replace those, I'm probably gonna look for Puma ones. They're a little bit more expensive, but they fit my feet perfect. They were perfect. Are you pulling a Daisy? Is that where Daisy learned it from? Oh no. Oh no. Don't enable me. Don't do that. I mean, like, yes, but... Oh man. The zoo could be way bigger if I wanted to have less self-control. But thank you. Unconditional love, I think, is one of the most important things but hardest things to hold on to in life. And I feel very fortunate that I not only receive so much of it, but I'm able to propagate so much of it. But the zoo and I are a package deal. If you want one, they get the other. Liking New Balance, something about them speaks older person. Show to me. I think my dad has New Balances, but honestly, they're good sneakers. I would wear them. They're not bad. They look good. They don't look like old people's shoes. They're just simple sneakers. They're nothing fancy. Can cut the grass in them. Can run around with them. Go to the store in them. They're not bad. New Balance is cute. I feel like New Balance and Adidas look so similar. I'm surprised that Nike still sells anything. Every time I go to the store, when I go to Kohl's to do Amazon returns, the Nike section has looked the same for years. Like, I don't think Nike has ever really changed their style of anything. Yet they're still in business. But their clothes last a decent amount of time. I think I've had a few pairs of Nike pants where they'll wear out like around the waist or around the feet, maybe like 5 years into having them, and then I just never replaced them. But it surprises me. Nike is like mattress stores. It's a scam. I feel like they make most of their money off of shoes, though. Clothes are just like a disposable source. I am the kitty. Touch the top of the Harley outfit. He grabbed a titty and now he goes sleepy. He happy boy. Typical man. Some booby time, some sleepy time. He's happy. I'm happy. Simple, cost-effective, made in America shoes. True. True. I don't think they look like old people's shoes, though. Like, I'm not looking at my dad wearing them going, oh, you're so modern and fancy. But, like, old people's shoes have a look to them. I don't think they look old people-y. Maybe it depends on the style. People still like the swoosh. Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. I got a little excited over brands when I started to do well streaming, like, at the start of doing well streaming years ago. I get some Nike slides, Nike clothes, whatever. Now it's just like, the Walmart thing is the same thing. Mostly. But I didn't have anything, like, we weren't not well off growing up. My dad was just very frugal, which benefits him now later in life, which is a very smart way to be. It's good to be frugal. I'm glad that I learned that. But we didn't have, like, name brand things. So as soon as I could get name brand things, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Then the novelty wore off after, like, a year where it's like, it's just stuff. Now, if I want something fancy, it probably is either a dog or a cat, or it has a dog or a cat on it. If I want something over $20, it is probably one of those 4 things. It is true. We are a simple human. Be simple. Always sing that song to Voya. Kinda cat. Won't you do that for me? If you can. It's not the order of operations there. See, man, it's not how we usually sing it. It's not how we usually sing it. See, Mama told me when I was young. Said, sit beside me, my only son, and listen closely. And then he does listen closely. New Balance shoes have wide selections. Not a lot to do. Dang. Dang. I wonder if they would be a good fit. I want to try some New Balance shoes. I'm going to go to somewhere next. Kohl's usually has a big shoe selection. Probably Kohl's. What are you doing? It's not for you. A little wild bean. My music brain worming its way in. I like that song though. My dad used to play it and sing it a lot when I was little. I know I'm not, you know, the son that he wanted or hoped for. Possibly. But that song is very special to me. It's very special. Every time I hear it, I think of my dad. Ow! I just crunched a weird spot on my knee. That felt weird. Yeah. I poked the table. I love how Voya's the biggest and he doesn't make my leg go to sleep. Doesn't make sense. I guess he also like nests in versus the other two boys kind of like just lap it out. Used to love to play basketball. The Mad Topher be hooping. It's impossible to find the shoes in extra wide. Had to wear New Balance cross training shoes. Oh. My feet are so weird. Sometimes I need a wide shoe. It all depends on the brand. Sometimes it needs to be wide. Sometimes it can be regular. Sometimes it's a size down. Sometimes it's a size up. I feel like shoes are complicated for everyone, but I wonder if they're extra complicated for women. But I would imagine it'd be very difficult to find like athletic specific shoes that fit perfectly. But that would be very important too, so you don't injure yourself. You don't injure yourself short term or long term by stepping on something improperly or wearing something too big. What size shoes do I wear? Anything from like a 6 to like an 8.5, which make sense. It really depends on the brand. I have some heels that are size 6 and perfectly wonderful. My snowshoes are size 8.5 and they fit perfectly wonderful. I don't know. It's very, very strange. And it's not that my feet like get bigger or smaller. They don't like swell or shrink. They just fit different shoes. I don't know. I don't know. You have 2 left paws. You need to find some with 2 right feet to swapsies with. Alright, my next unbalanced day. I'm gonna hit you up for trades. Instead of New Balance, it'll be unbalanced. Oh my goodness. Once a stream, I forget. No! Oh, baby. He's so relaxed. So relaxed. Future BFF, your other half. Literally. Oh my goodness. Shoes would be like a toe. Mine would be like a boat for you. Probably. Probably. That's one thing I can guarantee I probably won't ever do to someone and have not often done to someone as a partner is I will likely not steal your shoes just to run out of the house or whatever. Because I can't walk in giant shoes. I just can't. I can't. I have a pair of my buddy's shoes that he's left here because he usually wears work boots. And sometimes there's chemicals on them, so you can't wear them in the house, like around the zoo. They're safe, but I get paranoid, so I say no. So the solution is to leave a pair of gym shoes here, and I don't throw those on. They're too big. I take one step and my foot slips out of it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I probably don't scratch on this. I'd like it to last. I'd like it to last. Oh yeah, your shirts, your hoodies, they're gone. But your shoes, you can still have those. But shirts, hoodies, nope. Mine. Shoes, those are yours though. If you're looking for clown shoes for future cosplay, If I had to wear clown shoes, I probably wouldn't get shoes that would be too big. I would get like swimming flippers, whatever they're called, and then like cut them to size. And then embellish and decorate them. I would trip and fall on my face if I tried to wear shoes that were too big. Hoodies too. Yes. I'm the worst. But I mean, in that scenario, like, I would be 100 years old and our laundry would be combined. So it wouldn't be, it's not like I would be stealing it, like, to a different household. Yeah, come on, go with the times. Hoodies are the first to go. Ugh. Come on now. Come on now. Hi, baby love. Hi, baby love. Oh, maybe not. I have my own collection of hoodies. Do you like t-shirts, though? I feel like the point of it is more like the smell of, like, your cologne or your natural scent, like, whatever we find most attractive and soothing about you guys scent-wise. I prefer t-shirts for that reason. Ow! Okay, your nails are long. That hurt. Thank you for that. How else can Serena be warm and hold 10 cats inside of a tent of a sweatshirt? Exactly. Precisely. It's all for the greater good of the zoo. That's why we can't say no. Honey, 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 you can't scratch on this. Okay, the boss man is being very serious right now. I cannot moderate everything. I cannot. Okay, we're gonna get you some food. We're gonna get everyone some food. Okay. You gotta uppy because you're about to go wild, man, and I'm a sensitive girl today. Nope, you can't go insane with us. You gotta let me pick you up. He uses this to his advantage. He knows he's in a difficult position. He knows that it would be difficult for me to move him right now. And he's using it to his advantage to play and turn on. I don't know how to turn off the flashlight on this. Play it. He knows exactly what he's doing. Okay. Oh my god, and the chair is stuck under the blanket too. Honey, I have to be able to pick you up. Okay, there we go. We survived. He did have the higher ground there. Resistance was almost futile. Alright, Club Gold. Thank you for a wonderful night. I appreciate you all very, very much. You're wonderful human beings. And thank you for spending so much time with the zoo with me tonight. Let me see. Tomorrow I would like to be on stream. Kind of depends how the babies are feeling. My vet is open tomorrow and Saturday. Saturday I'll probably just stream the babies and we'll be up in the air for Sunday, Monday. I want to keep an extra close eye with them. I would rather not have to take the babies to emergency if I can catch something early while my vet is closed. I'd rather have more eyes on them. So we'll cross fingers and paws for all the good stuff here. I apologize for making December a little bit convoluted, but we must allocate resources to where they are necessary. And that is just simply life. It's out of my control. Cheers to that. We love life. It's great. But actually we do, because no matter how chaotic it is, we do good. Oh, thank you. Focus on the beebs is welcome. Time with Serena is a blessing. Thank you. That is honoring. Oh, that's how I turn it off. Okay. I've pressed like every button and not figured it out before. I just hold down the top button. Life is fluid. Gotta remember to be like a plant. Adapt accordingly. Not instantaneously and insanely. Rome wasn't built in a day. Yada yada. Yada yada. I shall do my best. I shall. I feel like in a way taking care of the zoo is self-care. You know, it's not like lotion and like a hot bath or like a hair mask or whatever, but it feels as good in my soul as a good hot shower does. I must really love showers, dang. I do, actually. Showers are my happy place, but that's besides the point. I shall try to. I shall succeed to. I'm just so worried about them. But it is useless to worry. So we shall do our best to remain calm. Remain calm and carrot on. Hot showers are dang good. Only place you sound good when you sing. Everyone sounds good singing in the shower. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful environment. Just set up the cam. I will on Saturday, and the babies will be. They'll be streaming. As long as they're feeling okay. Knock on wood. If they're gonna be little shitstorm critters, then I'm not gonna broadcast. I won't subject your eyes to that. It's not fun. At least there's no smell-o-vision, right? Oh, thank you for a wonderful night, Club Cult. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your chats. Thank you for your company. And thank you for being your wonderful selves. Thank you for your support. More than anything, thank you for your time. Your time is very valuable, and whether it is for 2 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 hours, or see you again for 2 years, when our times collide, it is beautiful, magical, amazing, and incredible. And I'm so grateful for you all. For your number 2 option. Unfortunately, yes. You guys are capable of, like, feeding yourselves, taking yourself to the doctor, whether you will or won't. You know, wiping your own butts, etc. The babies can't do that. So inevitably, the zoo comes first. Y'all gotta be number 2. I love yous, but you can take care of yourselves. The zoo can't. Top 5. No, I'm gonna go with number 2. I'm gonna go with number 2. I mean, I update Discord before I, like, update or bitch to my friends about what's going on, so I would say number 2. I decide how to take care of the zoo, I update Discord, and then if I need to, I talk to my peoples. So I think you guys are number 2. I mean, like, no offense, you're number 2, but, like, I think you guys are number 2. That's pretty cool. You're wonderful, Club Cult. It's pretty wonderful. Fox, if you don't wipe your butt, that's a personal choice, but I would highly recommend doing it. It's a personal choice. It's a pretty dang high praise. I feel like it was halfway offensive. You're number 2! You're number 2! But I mean it with the best of intentions. I'm trying to think, like, that's, I think the course, that's at least the course of how today went. I'll take it. Take it. Put it in my pocket. Along with Club Quilt, do me one favor before I see you Bebs next, and that is, remember that you are wonderful, amazing, incredible, spectacular, phenomenal, wonderful, oh so gorgeous, and all the good things in the world. Take all those compliments, and I don't think I have a single dang pocket. Put those in your back pocket, your side pocket, your adorable little hoodie pocket, your adorable little shirt pocket, floating in suspended animation, or wherever it needs to go, or even tuck it in your hat if you want to. You sweet bebos, thank you for being used. If you guys would like to keep up with me offline, hop into the Discord. You're damn right for that one. If it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it must be a duck. Here's the fun stuff. We got the socials. Some more fun stuff. The schedule for approximately, roughly, maybe, possibly, at some point, somehow, somewhere, when I will see you Mims next. As aforementioned, the schedule is very up in the air right now. But thank you all for being a part of the Stream the Dreams project. I appreciate everyone's time and patience and kindness. And all of your marvel souls. You are wonderful. And welcome. Holy, that's spelled wrong. Welcome to our kickoff of the holidays. Everything we donated this month to Chicago Animal Care and Control and Paws Chicago. Paws Chicago does accept monetary donations, so we will be splitting in half and donating to them. And Chicago Animal Care and Control has 2 wish lists, I believe. So we'll go through and see what they need the most. Usually they list out on Instagram what they need the most at any point in time around New Year's. And we'll put that on the list and then go from there and pull it up on stream and let you guys pick out what you guys would like to get for the rescue beebs. I'm excited for that. Duck propaganda at this hour. Donald Duck will not hear of this. That's how I communicate with the babies. No. Probably sounds like a mean cat hissing and growling to them. I think it's so funny that gets their attention, though. So I'm gonna snap you guys to reality. No more nerfing. No more horny bonks. Just if there's misbehavior in the chat. Just wait for the wide eyes to come through. Oh, she ducked at me. Get some good sleep tonight, Club Colt. Get some good eats. Make good choices. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Dream of healthy kittens. Cross fingers and paws for me. And get some good eepies tonight. Thank you all for being your wonderful selves. And I shall catch you on... Oh god, no. It looks like I'm just trying to touch my lips to my nose if I do that. And kind of, I can't touch my tongue to my nose though. Can anyone do that? Tell me tomorrow. Get some good sleep tonight. And I shall see you babs for the next one. Thank you for being used. You wonderful beans. Get some good eepies. I shall miss you until I see you again for the next one. Good night, Club Cults.